Hello, we are here. It is a little bit late. Sorry, but that's just how it is. I got to silence myself on the other thing there. How's everybody doing? It's Tuesday night. It's been a busy day. Been a busy day, Christians. Good to see you, Tech Rant, Jason, Alex, Trevor, Zach.
That's me.
Yeah, that's you. I'm just, I'm working my way into the introduction because I got a lot of nervous energy right now.
Nervous energy?
Yeah. Or some people might call it like, crazy anxiety, but I'm going to call it nervous energy. And so I'm trying to calm myself. I was doing some breathing exercises when Zach came on the Google Hangout, just trying to, bring it down. Yeah,
well,
man.
don't you have an Apple Watch to tell you that?
Yeah, it does. It does tell me. And usually it tells me at a time where I need to ignore it. So, yeah, but anyway, let me do this introduction thing, and then we'll roll into it, as it were. Hey there, friends on YouTube. My name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. This is Painfully Honest Tech, the podcast. Here we are again tonight. It is a Tuesday night, as it always is a Tuesday night when we do this thing. And yeah, we are just excited. I'm going to call it excited. How's that sound, Zach?
You sound excited.
Oh God, I'm so excited. It's been such a momentous day in the world of tech.
Some things happened over the last 24 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a video from somebody, and then a fruit company released something today that made him even more angry.
Yeah. Well, it seems like this show is just turning into like me continuing to bitch about the things that I bitch about in my videos or on Twitter.
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with a little crazy criticism as long as it leads somewhere, which I think you do for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, we'll delve deeper as we discuss, but I just want to say to everybody out there who's listening, even though this is not going to be put up as an audio podcast, I'm just trying to get the feel for it again, that you can follow me at Jason T. Lewis, PhD on the Twitter. I also have an Instagram account that I post to about once every 2 weeks. And
that's how you grow it.
And, also over on the YouTubes. Zach, tell them where they find you.
I'm everywhere at whatever URL at Zach Talks Tech.
So that's right.
The Twitter, the Instagram, right. I think Facebook. Yeah. Facebook. YouTube. Yeah. All that good stuff.
Anybody still use the Facebook?
I mean, I use it to keep in touch with like family. I have 20 friends on there, 2 pending.
I have like 1,800 friends on Facebook, but I never go there. Facebook is dead to me. It creeps me out now.
I'm so surprised that, okay, let's talk about Facebook. I'm so surprised that Facebook, given all the controversies, especially last year, being caught with the data and then, passwords out in the open, and this, I'm surprised that more people haven't jumped ship. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it kind of blows my mind.
That's the amazing thing about Facebook. It's something that we've never seen before, where people have so much of their own personal stuff invested and housed on Facebook. And Facebook's been going now for what? Over 10 years, 12 years?
Yeah, it's up there.
So people have their whole, they have their whole lives invested in Facebook.
Genos is showing a little love here.
Oh, geez. We got the super chats coming in. Genosis, thank you. I will keep doing what I do.
I am Prometheus says, please tell me you guys saw the leaked images of iOS 13. I'm so disappointed. Also, YouTubers keep hyping it up, and I'm like, stop, you're not helping at all. I saw I mean, we'll get into this a little bit later, but I
Yeah.
saw some of the dark mode stuff, which I'm excited about. So
Dark mode is awesome.
yeah,
Dark mode, all the things, as Marquez Brownlee would say.
completely agree. Yep.
Because my eyes, man, oh my God.
Yep. The eyes.
I can't see half the time.
Yep.
I stare at a screen or I stare at my phone, and these are bifocals, and my vision is generally pretty bad anyway. So, like if I stare at my phone for too long, then I can't focus on anything out here.
That's been happening to me a little bit too. You know that the Game of Thrones producers took dark mode to the extreme in episode 3.
See, no, I didn't mind that. I didn't mind that
because you have an OLED.
Because I have a very expensive TV that allows me to see all the good stuff.
I've been saving that joke. I meant to say it during the whatever. Anyway,
yeah,
Facebook. Let's go back to Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people are just, it's like they have gone Stockholm syndrome with Facebook. They're trapped, and they're going to tell themselves whatever they need to tell themselves to keep their kids' pictures up there and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, I basically use it to. I mean, like I said, I've got like 22 friends on there, and it's basically all family and like 2 or 3 really good friends, like people I physically see. But I think I've got you on there.
Yeah,
I think we're friends.
I'm friends with very few people from YouTube. I think it's you and John Prosser and Roberto might be the only 3 YouTube related people that I'm Facebook friends with.
Basically, I have 2. I think I have Viper as well, but
yeah, I might have Viper. I have Jeff too. So it's maybe more than a handful, but less than 2 hands full.
You know what? Where I find it helpful. So I like Twitter for the interaction and everything. And like for example, I follow for example Gizmodo or The Verge and this and that. But I also subscribe to their Facebook pages because I find that's the easiest way to find news articles in relations to our industry.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, and I'll be going through and reading all the articles, and then I'm like, oh, there's a picture of my niece. Okay, cool. Right. Right. That's me. I've told my friends straight up, I'm basically using it just for news now. So mobile syrup and the places I'd like to go for tech news and stuff like that. Right.
What really, now I don't, so Acheronus Tech, I have no idea. Thank you for the $5 super chat. And there is no way that I'm going to that link. No way that I'm going to that link. But thank you for providing it. I went to McDonald's for dinner.
I was going to say, I've never seen you.
All right, Acherontas or Acherontas.
What did you have for McDonald's? That's what I want to know. Because today is National Hamburger Day, apparently.
Oops.
You didn't have a hamburger?
No. I got the 10-piece.
10-piece chicken nugget?
Yeah.
You know what? Okay, so super secret for a lot of people in the chat and listening. If you don't know this, if you go, sometimes you know how sometimes you go through the drive-through at McDonald's and you get the fries and you get home and it's like, these are not fresh. Like you can tell the difference between fresh or whatever. If you want fresh fries when you go to McDonald's, order chicken. Order something chicken because they can't cook the chicken in advance and having sitting there as long as say a hamburger.
Right.
So I always get like a 6 or 10-piece nugget along with, my double. I like their double cheeseburgers. It's just simple double cheeseburger. Away we go.
Yeah. Hey, we got Danny Woods back.
Make it everybody hungry.
Fish sandwich. Oh.
Hey, there's that Viper guy in the chat.
Hey, Viper's on fire. Many fires. I like it when I scroll across the fire with my mouse. It just says fire, fire, fire.
I've never tried this. Oh yeah, okay, fire.
So Goose95, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the compliment on the OnePlus video. You may be, well, you're not in the minority, but you're definitely. There are definitely people who didn't like my take on the OnePlus.
Okay, well, so since you bring that up, I'm going to go over really quickly some of the topics we're going to go over tonight.
Okay.
And some of them we're going to go in long form. Some of them we're going to talk a little bit about because Jason's going to be doing videos.
Yeah.
All right. So
I'm going to try an experiment where I'm going to try and excerpt part of the podcast to put up as a video, like say about the iPods.
Excellent. So yes, we're going to talk about the new iPods that were announced today. The OnePlus 7 Pro, specifically Jason's review. New iOS leaks, so that we talked a little bit here.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit about Huawei and anything else that ticks Jason off.
Yeah. I mean, I think foremost among the things that are ticking me off right now, of course, the iPod, and then also well, the OnePlus phone doesn't piss me off. It's
Okay.
just
So can I tell everybody what I told you before we went on air?
sure.
Okay.
I don't remember what it was.
Jason seems a little moody lately, and that's putting it nicely. But you know what? I like it when you put out your videos and you're moody. But I thought I don't want to sound like I'm defending OnePlus, but I thought you were just a little harsh. It almost felt like it was a video to be controversial just to be controversial. Almost felt like that.
Uh,
There's nothing wrong with your opinion. Everything you said was somewhat valid. But I thought the delivery was
well,
just.
I had fun. I had fun making that video.
Did you really?
Oh yeah, like editing it.
Because I thought for sure you went and like kicked a puppy after or something like that.
No, it was really fun. I was really surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised that there were negative comments because people will defend their favorite smartphone company to the death.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a lot of fun making that video. I mean, just I wrote the script. I kind of hit on the butt thing. Like I just noticed as I was writing the script that everything that I was writing was screen is great, but
I was waiting for like an image of like Kim Kardashian to come up sometime during that video.
No. I don't objectify the women.
Well, it's not objectifying if she owns it.
It's still objectifying on my part.
Different conversation, but yeah.
So I got to put this farther away from me so I don't keep trying to drink it. Diet Coke is gone. Yeah, I'm wearing a Batman shirt today too.
I appreciate that you dressed up like Run DMC. Thank you,
man. I saw this in a store and I was just like, I had to have it. I got the pants too.
Oh, that's classic.
Yeah. So,
all right. So are we going to continue down the OnePlus road right now, or do you want to talk about the iPods?
Well, let's walk back to the iPods because that's the news of the day.
Yeah.
You liked me better when I had a job. I still have a job. I'm going to be working, part-time at that job until probably October.
We should get Tech Rant on here one night.
Yep.
I think we definitely should.
We got John Pienta in the chat. John, one of my former students. All around good guy. Yeah. So
okay. So a new iPod. I'm gonna bring up the Apple website here.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll bring up the American site because everything's wonky when they convert to Canadian. Although I think it's a pretty good price anyway. iPods. What is your hot take? I mean, I saw your Twitter today, but holy cow.
Yeah, well, it's annoying. It's the typical modern Apple. Mm-hmm. It's typical modern Apple where they're just trying to do the least amount of work possible to make the most money. Right? I mean, and that's a solid strategy, I guess. That's a solid business strategy for Apple. They're calling it the new iPod Touch. Mm-hmm. I find that difficult to swallow because it's the same iPod Touch with a different chip inside. And that chip is almost 3 years old.
Okay, so and I should know this, but I can't find the actual page on it and everything. Here we go. Tech specs. So it has the A10 in here. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what's the current chip in the iPhone?
The A12 Bionic.
A12. So this is this is the first refresh in 4 years, right?
Since 2015, that's correct.
Yeah.
And I think 2015 is when they also did the stupidest thing that they've ever done and discontinued the iPod Classic.
It's a 4-inch screen. I thought it was bigger.
Nope. No,
Huh.
it's the same size as the friggin' iPhone SE or the 5S or whatever you want to call it.
I was about to say 5S, yeah.
Yeah. So at least they don't make like the back of it shiny chrome
Jason,
anymore.
okay, it has a headphone jack. I mean, that's just gotta.
But of course it has a headphone jack. They've had these bodies sitting around for years.
Yeah.
Right? So so they just, I mean,
but Jason has a headphone jack. How can you hate this?
Because they could have done something really cool, and instead they just did the least amount possible to make the most money. This is just a cash grab once again.
All right, so let's go over some of the highlights, I guess. 4-inch screen, A10, 8 megapixel rear camera, 2.4 aperture, autofocus, blah blah blah. HDR, video recording 1080p, slow-mo 120. I'm just kind of scrolling through.
Yeah.
FaceTime. So it does have a FaceTime. It does have a selfie camera, 1.2 megapixel, HD 20. Wireless, Bluetooth. Okay, so there's no wireless charging, but it obviously has the Wi-Fi and everything like that. No phone. I can't make phone calls off with it. TV, video, Siri, blah blah blah. Headphone jack, built-in speaker, Lightning port. We don't know what the battery size is yet, but we probably have a pretty good guess. Accelerometer, iOS 12, so obviously you get the latest.
The Bluetooth 4.1, so they didn't upgrade Bluetooth really.
Yeah. It comes with the AirPods.
I love that they give the audio playback stats though. Audio formats supported.
Yeah.
It's like I don't even think they changed this website too much. I think they just put in some new pictures, and they and they changed the chip and put the picture of the 810 chip in there, and then everything else has got to be the same. We should go into the Internet Wayback Machine and see how much they changed.
Because compared to like 4 years ago?
Compared to like yesterday.
I like the colors.
Yeah, they're fine. They're fine.
They only put a black front. I was gonna say blackface, but they only put a black front on the space gray one. All the other ones have a white front, which I think is, I mean, they have this hot pink here. Can you imagine that with like a black front? That would look cool.
Yeah, I know. It's the same thing with the product red phones up until the 8, when they finally made the black fascia. But it's fine.
You know what? I see the comments in the chat here, guys. We are reading, and I've seen this on Twitter and everything like that. I know a lot of people have been saying, "Well, this is perfect for kids," or "It's perfect for," basically people are saying it's for kids and everything. And while I agree with that, if this had come out at the same time as the iPhone XR, I probably would have got this over the iPhone XR if I didn't need the phone number and everything like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But see, the thing is, like, I can tell you right now that the iPhone XR is a much more solid.
Oh, than this? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. It's a much better built, much better spec'd.
But 32 gigabytes starting at, I mean, I know that seems small.
32 gigabytes is all it says is we still had 32 gigabyte chips laying around and we got to get rid of them.
That should have been 64, in my opinion. They should have gone 64, 128, 256.
Yeah.
That should have been 64 at 250 or 225. That's still very affordable.
Right.
For an Apple product. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a gateway drug. Sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like that context. It's a gateway drug, yeah.
People parents pass them out to their kids as digital pacifiers.
Well, it's interesting. Go ahead, sorry.
And it serves that purpose. But the thing that I get all uppity about is the fact that the iPod used to be such an amazing device.
So how is this bad then? I guess my question to you is.
This is like 2014's iPhone. Who cares? Yeah, it doesn't have any of the things that made the iPhone or the iPod great. Make the iPod great again. Okay, it's got a headphone jack. Yay.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have the lanyard thing anymore. I guess that's good. But it's just a very lazy product.
Okay,
It's just a very lazy product.
so
That's not being sold for what it was initially designed to do.
what could they have put? Excuse me. What do you think they could have or should have put in this?
I
So
don't think
you've
they should
already
have continued this design whatsoever.
so you're thinking about something like without a home button and everything?
I'm thinking that they bring the iPod Classic up to the modern world. Okay.
So like full screen Face
Yeah, and
ID.
I was going back and forth with Greg from Greg's Gadgets. It's hard to
Mm-hmm.
say two G's back to back like that. Um, and he said, "Well, what would you want it to be if not this?" And here's exactly what I would want it to be.
Okay, go.
I would want it to have Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, um, like AirPlay 2. I'd want it to integrate seamlessly with the HomePod. I'd want it to integrate seamlessly with the HomeKit. I would want it to be built to the standards of, put out something that's beautiful like the more recent iPhones, but make it a single purpose device. It controls, you can control your HomeKit. It can control your HomePods. You can
But
listen to.
you can't do that with this?
Yeah, but see, this is like, well, this is our iOS for dummies. I think the iPod Touch was the worst thing that Apple made at the time that they made it. I hated the idea because the thing that was really lovely and brilliant about the iPod is that it was a single purpose device. It just it just played back sounds, and you could store your sounds on there. And even if that's not something that makes sense anymore, you could still, a lot of people have, high res files like FLAC and all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
They could give you minimum 256 gigabytes of storage for the people who want to store stuff on there. And then the only three apps that it's connected to are uh, Apple Music, podcasts, and I mean, I don't know what kind of business the Apple Books app does in
Mm-hmm.
terms of audiobooks, but I think that they could either that or bring in Audible. Audible's
Okay.
kind of got that market
So
cornered.
I just want to back up because on one sentence you said, it'd be good if you could do all these extra things, but then you're upset because the original iPod only did one thing.
Well, I'm not. I'm still. I'm still saying it's doing one thing.
Uh-huh.
It's audio playback.
Okay.
But I mean, it wouldn't make any sense to reintroduce a product that you had discontinued without updating it to what is currently possible with audio. So it'd have to have a headphone jack, obviously. The Wolfson DAC that was in the iPod Classic 4.5 as who said that? Who said it? Let me go back here. Sean Williams. Yes. Um, yeah. I think that they could make a niche device
Mm-hmm.
that serves a portion of their customer base that really that's really a nice piece of equipment, and so even if you start at 128 minimum,
Mm-hmm.
charge $400 for it, and people will eat that alive, not just kids.
Mm-hmm.
I hate this rationale where it's like, well, why would you want to do anything with it because it's just for kids? It's like, why just make a half-assed product that's just for kids. This is just a totally like phoned in product that is a cash grab. They're probably spending $25 total on the parts and manufacturing.
I mean, we'll find it soon once I fix it. Does it tear down? I guess, right? So
Right. I mean,
yeah.
so they're probably just like their overhead is very low because they have these parts.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're just cashing in. And a point that Greg made earlier is that like, well, it's not going to be something that sells a ton. It has a small market share for, you know, in comparison to the rest of Apple's business. But the thing is, they would not have released an update if it wasn't making money.
Okay. So let me ask you this. So you don't you don't feel as though there's a demographic or a market out there? Because and like earlier tonight I was having dinner with my wife and daughter and my son, and you know, like we're an Android house. Like my wife has a Galaxy S9. Obviously I have the OnePlus. I have a Galaxy S10 here that's been on and off here and there as I make the transition. I have my iPhone 10R, which I don't turn on all the time.
Right.
It's, you know, it's used here and there. And right. And so my wife and I, we use WhatsApp, for example, to text back and forth. But we were talking, we're like, you know, if my wife had an iPhone or something like this, do you think we should get something for our son? He's 7 years old.
Right.
Something he can have for around the house to listen to and everything like that, because
Play
he's actually
games.
using, yeah, because he's actually using my wife's iPod video. Was the first generation.
Mm-hmm.
So it had the scroll wheel and then the screen. It still
Yep.
works to this day. Terrible battery life, but it still works great. I don't even know how old that thing is now. But anyway, he still uses it, and I thought that would be great because
The iPod
even my
the
cousin's
iPod video
daughter.
is the 4 and or 4.5.
Yeah, I should have grabbed it from her before I came down here, but I'll maybe show it next week. But for example, my cousin's daughter, she's 14 or 15. She has an iPod, and again, so she can listen to music and everything. But and when she's out and about and she's connected to a Wi-Fi, she can FaceTime her grandfather, my uncle. She can text obviously through iMessage to her mom or whatever, come pick me up from the hockey game or this. So it's been very good that way. She just can't make phone calls.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And all that's great. And my daughter had an iPod. My son had an iPod. For 5 minutes and then he lost it. But and I know that there's a use case like that.
Yeah.
However, I don't know that the iPod, as you know, the iPod Touch is what should be sitting in that spot. You know, make another like dumbed down like iPad mini.
Okay. Or even like an SE refresh, which we keep on hearing about.
I mean, the SE was a great phone.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't know anybody who wants to carry around a 4-inch screen anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some people who still prefer it, and that's cool. But the thing is, my problem with the iPod is that it runs iOS at all. I don't want iOS on my iPod. I just want to listen to stuff.
Oh, you just want to play music and play video, and that's it. Nothing else.
Not even video.
Not even video.
Not even video. Mm-hmm. I just want to be able to have high quality a high quality DAC in there that I can put files on, or I can access the files that I have in the cloud, or I can use Apple Music.
Okay.
And just listen to listen to stuff.
Well, based on this, I mean, the best solution for you right now is for us to get a DeLorean and get Doc Brown and go back to 19. Do you know what I mean? I don't see Apple ever coming out with a dumbed down version after coming out with this.
Well, why wouldn't they? Why? So they came out with a version of the iPad, of the regular iPad, that I mean, it was still a really good machine. It was an old body, and they gave it like pen support,
Mm-hmm.
and it starts at like $300, right?
Yeah. Yep.
They just came out with an iPad mini that's sort of an upgrade. But why wouldn't they put out an iPad mini? Like put out an iPad mini with the A10 chip in it, you
I
know?
think this iPod and that iPad Mini is part of a bigger overall um how do I describe this? I think it's part of a bigger overall objective of Apple to reach into different demographics and everything because they know that not everybody's going to get a new iPhone every year. You and I are as tech enthusiasts, more or less right?
Mhm.
We damn know for sure that Drew's going to be in line. Right? I'm just bugging him. I'm just bugging.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love Drew. But do you know what I mean? But I don't know how else the average consumer, the everyday tech consumers, is not going to necessarily upgrade every year. We see it. We see it all the time in comments all the time. I can't afford it this year. My contract won't allow me. I upgrade every 2 years, and stuff like that. So I think this is part of an overall bigger strategy by Apple to say, hey, we have something here that gives you pretty much everything. Starts at $300 or $200, sorry, $200. So you don't have to break the bank. If you want to
Right.
stay within that, I think that's what this is. And it's unfortunate because Apple has come out and already said, like last year, we won't give out exact numbers anymore. But it should be interesting to see how many people are grabbing this thing. I hate to say it, man, but that hot pink, I mean, I'd rock that.
My first Walkman was hot pink.
There we
So,
go.
back in 1985 or whatever it was. I think it
Yeah.
was 1985 when I got my first Walkman for
Mhm.
Christmas. Um,
I see where you're coming from, where you say you just want an iPod to just be an iPod,
right. I
but
I guess what I'm saying is like take the iPod away from we just put everything but a phone inside an iPhone body,
mhm,
right? And move it over to the iPad category. Make it if you want to put 32 gigabytes of storage in there, do that. If you do that with the iPad mini
mhm,
with a lower tier chip and all the parts that they obviously have left over for those machines, and you could still probably start it at like $200.
mhm,
And so the iPad has always run iOS, and it was designed to do that. It doesn't do it very well because iOS is still not optimized for the iPad.
it's
But
weird, right? Yeah,
but it was always an iOS device. The iPod was something different.
mhm,
It was a dedicated music player. And now we have more options than ever to consume that kind of content. And I don't think it to me, I don't like the idea that it's just, being able to listen to stuff is secondary to the fact that you can play games and watch YouTube and all this other stuff. It's like, no, that's not the point. The point of a dedicated music player is there's this Wilco song where one of the lines is there's no call waiting in my headphones, right? And I listened to that song recently and I was like, damn, that is so untrue today. And that's a shame.
what?
That if you're wearing headphones
Yeah.
and you're plugged into
Oh,
or
yeah, you get the interruptions, the notifications,
yeah,
whatever.
and yes, I
Yeah,
know you can turn it on all kinds of different modes and tell it
mhm,
to shut up and all that kind of stuff. But
mhm,
stick to the point here. The point is there used to be a place where you could go and just listen to music, maybe read a book, but and not be tethered to the entire rest of the internet,
mhm,
right? But that place doesn't exist anymore. There are, Sony makes a Walkman. It's pretty expensive, but the OS is terrible from what
yeah,
I've seen.
yeah,
Fio makes some products like that as well. These things get pretty expensive.
yeah,
If Apple were to enter that market again and just say we're going to make the best music player that we can, the best audio device that
mhm.
we can.
Sounds like you want a Nano, basically.
No, I don't want a Nano.
Okay.
I want something that is similar to a current iPhone
Okay.
or an iPad, but not iOS. Just or at least like not the internet, blah blah blah.
But here's the thing. I don't think you're going to see that, Jason, and here's why. Services. What did we see Apple introduce?
Oh, I
They
know
have.
this is all part of their strategy to
Well, yeah.
like hook kids early on their BS TV shit and games and stuff.
Yeah, so if so this new iPod didn't push that, that's less possible subscribers over there, right? So let's say little Johnny gets an iPod, this new iPod tomorrow. Okay. He puts a bunch of music on, his parents subscribe to music service, whatever it is. Spotify could even be obviously Apple Music, right? For the
Right.
easiest way. And then, here's your free trial of the magazine service, and he finds a couple, maybe a car magazine or a computer
God,
magazine or
how could
whatever,
you read a magazine on that
right?
screen?
I'm just saying they'll make it work, right? And then they push out the TV service, and there's this series with this actor or actress or someone they know, a name or something like that. Now mom and dad have to, do you know what I mean?
Sesame Street. They got
Well,
Sesame Street.
yeah, it's a strategy, right? So I don't see Apple ever. I understand where you're coming from as a purist. I understand where you're coming from. I just don't see it ever happening because of the services and everything like that. Apple has a chance now to put more and more of this in people's hands,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, and their entire product strategy, for better or worse, has changed from making great products to making products that will sort of bring people into the overall ecosystem and keep them there. Right? I mean, at this point, they're making products that are good enough for the most part. I mean, the iPhone is still a great phone, still well made, still all that stuff. The iPad Pros are. I mean, but we've seen what the MacBook Pros become,
Mm-hmm.
and the MacBook Air and the MacBook. Um, I mean, they're cheap. They're cheap versions of whatever. So they got the ecosystem. Okay, I don't want to get caught. Don't get caught in the weeds, Jason. Okay, um, they got the ecosystem going on, and people get not just the computer, not just the iPad, not just the iPhone, but then they get the AirPods and they get the HomePod and they get you know the Apple TV and they get everything, and suddenly they find themselves complete. They find themselves in the place where many of us have found ourselves, like completely locked in,
Mm-hmm.
unless you want to move heaven and earth to change everything about how you operate your digital life. you know um so i just I feel like there's a space for Apple to be like, we used to be about making great products. The iPod was a great product that had a really focused reason to exist. People still want that kind of thing, which is evidenced by all the other companies that are filling the void that Apple left.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the Kindle. Nobody says like nobody says that the Kindle should just make Fire tablets
Yeah,
instead of a Kindle. The Kindle is a dedicated reading device,
that's my wife has one. Yeah,
you know? And so you sit there and you read on it, and it
yep,
doesn't have a connection to your texts or your Twitter or the internet or any of that other stuff. It's got books on it.
yeah. And she has said that to me several times. I can leave my phone in the bedroom and then read in the sauna kind of thing, right? So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I look at the Kindle and the iPhone as being sort of, or the iPod as being sort of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, purpose, single use machines
Mm-hmm.
that do what they did or do um, extremely well and offer an experience that a connected device can't.
Yeah.
So
I understand where you're coming from. I just, like I said, the more I think about it now, and like I just thought of the services thing as we were talking, it just makes. I
it makes
understand why
sense,
Apple.
but in a
It makes
skeezy
sense for
way.
them,
It's
right?
just it's skeezy.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's like, oh, we can hook them early with Sesame Street on Apple TV Plus,
Mm-hmm.
and by the time they're growing pubic hair, they'll be ready to go. It's like it's just skeezy.
Yeah.
It's very creepy.
Well, I understand where you're coming from, but I also appreciate the fact that they're gonna, there's a way somebody can get into the system and appreciate all the things that Apple can do for starting at $200 USD. I think it's 250 Canadian. I'm this close, like I told you. I have it in my cart. I've picked the gray one with the black front, but I really want to order the pink one, just because I know it's going to photograph well.
Right. Well,
So
the thing is, like, okay, so I keep harkening back to this Twitter conversation that I had with Greg. Um,
excuse me.
and he was like, you should order one and try it out before you say anything about it. I'm like, I don't need to order that.
You should.
There's no point.
You were so critical. We're gonna talk about this. You were very critical. I wouldn't say very critical, but you had your thoughts on the OnePlus, and then you went out and got a OnePlus, and then you did a OnePlus video.
Yeah.
I think you should. I mean, you know how Apple's return policy, we're just order it and return it 3 days later. Who cares?
But the thing is, like,
Freaking
it's an
Apple.
iPod Touch.
I know, but I mean, it would at least help in your defense in a video if you actually had it in your hand.
I bought the first iPod, or not the first one because it was too expensive, but I was in my 30s
Do you still
when
have
the
it?
iPod. No, I've bought and sold so many. I have like 4 iPods here at home. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, I I have owned so many iPods
Mm-hmm.
of the touch variety, of the classic variety, of the nano and the shuffle and the blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
There is no reason that I need to go get an iPod Touch that has all of the same stuff that the last model had. And the only thing that's different is a 3-year-old chip.
Okay.
It's iOS. I know what that experience is going to be. Everything but making a telephone call on
Pretty
a
much,
4-inch screen. I get it. I don't need to refresh my memory on that.
Okay.
You
All
know,
right.
it's just one of those things where I agree with you. Sometimes it's good to like have the product in your hand and experience it so that you can have that sort of verisimilitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm just saying that. Okay, so from my perspective, because I know about your previous experience, you and I have talked. I've watched all of your videos pretty much. I was a fan of yours before I even came here. I know your past experience. I know your history. Now, take someone who's never heard of Painfully Honest Tech. They get this recommended, and they come across this guy criticizing it, and they're going to think he doesn't even have it. How can, you know what I mean? Like, because you're going to get those comments.
the thing is,
I'm trying to help you with your defenses here.
I don't need to defend myself.
I'm just saying you're going to get those comments.
Honestly, I don't need to defend myself.
Okay.
If a person comes in there and all they hear is that I don't have the device and they're not listening to everything else that I'm saying because what I'm saying is coming from a highly educated place, then I don't need them on my channel.
Okay. Well, if you can, as long as you can convey that and give the examples and everything like that, I think there's no problem as long as someone actually watches the video and understands. I'm just saying, make sure.
Yeah.
You probably want to make sure you get that across, and you usually do anyway.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't watch the video. A lot of people watch 4 minutes of the video. You know, it's just really frustrating. The binary thinking of people on the internet is just really frustrating.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, but an iPod with an SSD with a great DAC plus access to playing things through your HomePods. I mean, you want to sell HomePods, then make the HomePod listening experience an entire ecosystem.
Viper loves a HomePod.
God, the HomePod is so awful. It's so terrible. It really is. I mean,
it is. Yeah.
It's like boom, 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 boom.
It sounds like beats.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah. All right.
So
I feel
we should switch gears
I
now.
was gonna say I think we've beat this horse to death. You've got plenty of ammo now for I can't wait for your iPod video now. I can't I yeah, it's gonna be good. All right, so let's pick up do you want to talk a little bit about Huawei? I mean,
I
I don't know if
haven't
much has
really
really
paid
changed since then.
attention. I know according to Brandon that I could be damaging the world by talking about it. So I don't want to risk that.
No. Slow down. Not much in terms of I mean, it's just kind of been in the last 4 days that I've noticed it's been kind of just a rehash of the same headlines and everything.
Yeah.
Depending
Yeah.
on the source, today they were saying, they could have their own operating system out July, and other people are saying late this year.
Yeah.
From a Huawei user, and I have one here. I have one here. Um, I look forward to seeing what this operating system will look like without Google. Do you know what I mean? So
It'll be like a flavor of Android.
yeah.
They will have taken publicly available Android,
Mm-hmm.
and then they will have built an Android-like system around it.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's thundering a lot here in
I
my
was gonna say, was that thunder?
yeah.
Holy crap, man!
Yeah, we've had a lot of rain. We had a tornado on Friday, just
Wow.
right over there.
Are you?
Right over there, tornado.
Wow.
So,
A lot of
yeah.
damage.
No, at least not in comparison to like the last time tornadoes really came through here.
I saw some of the CNN stuff today. I turned on CNN and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
leveled.
Yeah. I mean there were some people in more rural areas of our county who had some trouble, but I mean,
Mm-hmm.
in 2008, a couple of of tornadoes at the same time just
Mm-hmm.
went straight through downtown Iowa City
Mm-hmm.
and tore up churches and everything, and just it was it was frightening. It
Yeah.
was frightening. Thankfully, I still drank at that time.
So do you technically live in Tornado Alley, as they call it?
No, I think that's more in the plains. Like
Yeah.
Iowa City is still kind of like a rolling hills kind of area. Eastern
Mm-hmm.
Iowa is not like board flat like the rest of like the once you get past Des Moines and
Mm-hmm.
start heading toward Nebraska,
Yeah.
then that's when it starts to get really flat.
So where I live in Calgary, I'm about an hour east of the mountains, I guess, the Rocky Mountains, the same Rocky Mountains that you guys have down in go down to Colorado or anything.
Right.
Technically, Calgary is in the same pathway as Tornado Alley, and we do get tornadoes here. We get them east of here. We had one just 20 kilometers, I don't know what that is in miles, south of Calgary a few years back. I remember we could see it from the condo I was living at the time on the south end of the city. We could see it. I've never been so scared in my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get them up here too. So not as often. But anyway, let's so yeah, not a lot of changes in how do we go from Huawei to tornado?
Because the thunder.
The thunder rolls, the lightning strikes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Garth Brooks. That's Garth Brooks.
It was the Huawei gods
Yeah.
threatening me.
Yeah, so that I mean that should be interesting to keep on. I mean that story's still moving and churning, and there's no black or white to the whole Huawei thing, and there's so many different levels of gray. Marquez Brownlee did a great video on it, kind of summarizing at the time.
Right.
Renee Ritchie has done a great video on it, kind of summarizing at the time. And I'll just say this: if you still want to find information on it, just make sure you guys are going to reputable sources. So
Right. I mean, the video that I did on it is somewhere over 150,000 views.
yep. As long as you're keeping the facts in there, and
Yeah, I mean, I'm always like facts,
Yeah.
but yet opinion. And
Yeah.
that seems to trip some people up.
Yeah. And the one thing that really, and I'm not trying to defend the guy because he's not my president. And the stuff that he's done has affected us up here. A lot of people are kind of dumping on Trump and this and that. And yeah, he, as usual, has said some stupid things. But I mean, Huawei was on the United States radar as early as the Obama administration. So if you really dig deep, I mean, this is not something that's happened in the last few weeks.
No, and it's
just gone to a new level.
multifaceted, and I tend to not want to go into the politics of it because the politics of it then become like you lose the core of the problem.
Yep.
Or the core of the issue, because then once you go with international politics, or even like, left and right politics here in the United States, whatever, then it's not really the same conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, at this point, they seem like they're pretty screwed.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends. I guess it depends on your point of view, but I mean, they are a huge company. It's not just handsets, and we've talked about this before, infrastructure and everything else, right? Computers, blah, 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 blah. And if you think they don't have, and they've even said themselves, they've started stockpiling chips and this and hardware and everything over the last couple of months because they expected this. Then they're not stupid. I think they're going to be just fine. But in the long term, that should be interesting. Do you know what I mean? Like a year from now, let's see. Right?
I mean, they've lost like all of their hardware support basically at this point. And they've lost a lot of access to licenses that they needed for a lot of their stuff. Can they work around it? Can they like make their whole thing viable without all that stuff? If it was one or two of any of those things, I'd say yeah. But at the point where they just get the entire, like the rug, the floor, the foundation, everything just gets like pulled out from under them, then it's good that they have short-term plans, but I don't know what you can do in terms of the long-term plan. And yes, I know that the Kirin chip is their proprietary chip, but they've lost so much.
But that lays on top of an ARM technology, right? So that they've lost that, right? So
yeah, I mean, ARM, Qualcomm, Intel, Google, SD cards, they can't even get like the SD card.
Well, they can make their own, but they just can't get the certification from the SD Association, is what it is.
Yeah.
So there's so many different levels of this. TechRant brings this up. If Trump strikes a deal with China, doesn't that all go away? I think Trump was talking out of his butt when he said that. He just decided to drop the name because I've seen a lot of people do videos and everything that on the whole, this is about money. No, it goes deeper than that. It's
not. It was an ongoing thing, an investigation that had legs well before Trump became president. Now, Trump's saber rattling and and tariffs and all that kind of stuff, and the quote unquote trade war with China doesn't help the situation. But this will exist independent of a trade Donald Trump.
And a trade deal, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying TechRant's wrong. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that I think at the time, because we've all seen that video clip, right? Well, if we could come to a deal, I think he just said the name
he thought, okay, this is what we're dealing with. He swore up and down that when he placed tariffs on imports, that the Chinese were paying for those tariffs. They were paying for those. And it didn't affect the American consumer at all. But that's not true.
No.
The American consumer will end up paying the tariff because the manufacturer that's brought it in from China and makes whatever product it is, they're going to pass that cost on. So, I mean, the only way it hurts China is if people do less business with them. But in terms of tariffs and stuff, like it's pretty much always going to come down to the consumer who's paying for whatever punishment is being laid out for whatever government.
Yeah. So for people that say that, I don't use a Huawei phone, I don't have a Huawei laptop, that this won't affect me at all. It's deeper than that because, like you said, there's American companies that are buying parts, software, whatever it is, through Huawei. Something because they not only do they, not only do they sell the stuff, they manufacture a lot of their own stuff, right? So,
Yeah.
um, like I said, there's a lot of different levels to this. It's not just black and white. So,
No, I mean the ramifications of the trade aspect of it are uniquely separate from what's happening to Huawei, the company,
mhm,
in that what's happening to Huawei, the company, is a big deal because they're a huge player in that market. But none of this is good for the U.S. consumer because these trade tariffs and everything like that those costs are passed on. So everything from, I mean, in the tech world, almost every speaker company
yeah,
has relocated their like lower tier, medium tier uh, manufacturing to China.
yeah,
You know,
yep,
so like maybe the high end stuff from BMW is made in Britain, but
okay,
the everything below that is made in China. So these guys could all get caught up in just an overall inflation of cost. So I mean, it's hard in 10 minutes to like really talk about how it could potentially impact
mhm,
uh, the world economy.
yeah. And I
Really,
think if this goes on, past what is the date? August 19th. Was that the 90
right?
days? August 19th or
Yeah,
16th? Anyway, if this goes past that, I think we'll start to see people will begin to realize this is more on a like you said, a global scale, and it's all the different levels. And right, Tech Rant says himself, search American companies the most. Other international companies who are watching won't want to put themselves in jeopardy. So it's a lot. It's a lot. It actually has very little to do with handsets.
yeah,
It's more about infrastructure and everything else that Huawei does. And if Huawei had split up their company 3 or 4 years ago, that they were asked to do it, we could still see their handsets in U.S. stores,
yeah.
and everything else. But they wanted to keep everything under the same name. But anyway, I think we've. I don't know. Do you think we've beaten that to death? I
Well,
want to talk about. I want to talk about OnePlus.
okay, okay,
I
we
want to
can.
talk about your video.
Okay,
Okay, so
let's talk
so
about it.
so let's back up about, I guess, about a week, because I've had my OnePlus now for about a week. Okay,
Right.
just over a week. Although I didn't actually unbox it until last Thursday. Okay, but I've been using it full time since Friday. Okay,
Yep.
so I got my OnePlus. I've had OnePlus devices in the past. I've owned the OnePlus One, OnePlus 5, OnePlus 5, OnePlus 5T, 6, 6T, and now the 7 Pro. Okay.
Right.
So I've had almost all of them except for whatever happened between one and then the 5, basically. I've always been a OnePlus fan because I just like everything about it in terms of what it brings together in a package at the price point.
Right.
Okay. Um, and then of course our good friend Viper got one. He's been going on and on. In fact, he actually ditched his S10 Plus for this, and then excuse me, you went on got a OnePlus when, like 2 days ago, a day ago,
I got it on Saturday, I think.
on Saturday. Okay,
Yeah,
so without
maybe
giving too much
Friday. Can't remember.
away on my video, which I think is turning now into a full review video. I will say that this phone, at its price point, given the concessions and the things they took away from this that we would typically expect from a flagship, is perfectly balanced at that price point.
I
That is
mean,
my kind of hot take on that.
well,
So let's talk about the concessions. The main concessions are IP rating,
right,
headphone jack,
right,
wireless charging.
right.
Those are probably the top three, correct?
Those are the top three.
Okay.
But I mean, I think that the whole reason that I made my video, I put on the thumbnail the butt phone,
Yep.
is because everything is good on the phone, but something else is better.
Mm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that was okay at $5.99.
Mm-hmm.
But at $6.99 or $7.49,
Doesn't it start at 669?
it starts at $6.69.
Starts at.
But in the US, I don't think you can get one for less than $700.
Okay, so which model did you get
The 256 gigabyte,
with 8 GB RAM?
I assume,
So
yeah,
that's the same as me. Okay, but you got yours in black, obviously, because that's the only way to be able to T-Mobile. I got myself the Nebula Blue, which you can't see because I have the sandstone cover on here,
right,
which is the
right.
best cover you can get. It's amazing. Look, listen, it's amazing. ASMR.
I've got the OnePlus
Yeah, that's
in
the
the
dinky
box.
thing. They include that in the box. Yeah.
You know what? For somebody who doesn't really like cases,
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to have that.
It's nice when they throw that in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Huawei threw in a clear one with mine as well. So yeah,
right.
it's nice when they
And
do that.
that's really been the MO for a lot of these Chinese companies, to provide more in the box in a lot of different ways,
Mm-hmm.
and that have that make up in a certain way for the shortcomings of the phones.
Look at this though. Okay, so check this out. This is the box for the 6T. Okay, and look what they put in here, because the 6T was the first model that didn't have a headphone jack. So for 1 year only for the 6T, no, not even a year, 6 months,
Yep.
did they give you the headphone adapter.
Right.
They should have put this in with the 7 Pro and the 7,
Yeah.
and they did not.
No.
They did
No.
not.
Uh, The fact that they left that out is really annoying, because if you look at what their strategy is, last year they came out with the Bullets Wireless 1,
Mm-hmm.
and of course they launched those with, I think, the 6T. And so now they got Bullets Wireless 2. Now, Bullets Wireless 1, from what I heard, was not good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Bullets 2,
Wireless
and
2. I have them here. Yep.
and let's just all agree that naming your product Bullets in 2019 is is maybe not the best choice.
Well,
I mean, why? Why go there? You know? Why go there? But that's a whole other discussion.
okay.
But the thing is, like, for $99 you get those. So basically, by taking that dongle out of the box, OnePlus is saying, we've given you a better solution in these wireless headphones that cost you $99. And so then the phone doesn't cost $699.
Mm-hmm.
It costs $799 or $798, right?
Okay, well, you're assuming that someone, but that's assuming the person doesn't have either wireless or a dongle from another phone. So,
Yeah, but when you're buying a product, you're buying an entire experience,
uh-huh.
right? You should be able to use that phone in every way that you use phones, with whatever is provided for you.
But I still think that OnePlus is still targeting their fan group and technology enthusiast crowd, right? So if you go out in the street today to your local mall and just ask someone randomly, have you heard of OnePlus? They're gonna be like, what? OnePlus
See, but
what?
this is the argument that always bothers me.
What?
Well, their market is, people who know who they are.
That's
It's like,
that's exactly what it is.
but the thing is, that is not a business strategy.
Not yet. I mean, they only just got into T-Mobile 6-8 months ago with the 6T.
Well, OnePlus is like the best-selling phone in India. At least it was when last I
Mhm.
heard sales numbers for
And the
India.
way they market over there to both their target and the general, especially the general public, is completely different than what you see here in North America.
Right,
Completely
right.
different. Like they have billboards and all sorts of stuff over there. It's crazy. Like I think Lou Unbox Therapy, he did an India trip and he was showing different pictures, and it's like it's just like OnePlus everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is great for them. I mean, that's a huge,
Hmm.
huge market.
Yeah.
In the US, like, at this point, everybody is saying like, well, their market is the people who know who they are. But T-Mobile, by and large, is not one of the big two, right? And they run a lot of deals to bring people in that maybe can't afford to go to Verizon or AT&T. And so T-Mobile is servicing a, a, a certain segment of the market that isn't as much of a focus with the big two. And I thought that was great for OnePlus because they've got a great phone for a great price,
Mhm.
and you can like justify all of the concessions because it's $599 or $600. But it gets harder to do that when it's $699. And right now at Best Buy, according to somebody who commented on my video, right now at Best Buy, you can get an S10 for 600, like 699 or 700
Oh, it's
bucks.
always been like that with Galaxy devices. Oh, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, you don't if you want a Galaxy device at a great price, you don't buy it when it comes out. You buy it a month, 2 months
2 months
later.
later. Yeah,
And if you made it up to the date of the release date of the Galaxy S10, you can wait another 30, 60 days probably. Do you know what I mean? And get it
yeah,
at a
no,
great price. I
absolutely. But
completely
most people
yeah.
aren't like, aren't sweating,
Mhm.
hanging on to their smartphone for another 6 or 7 days or
Mhm.
whatever. So let me stop here though. And Brian Nanya says should be ashamed of himself for calling the OnePlus 7 Pro 90% of a flagship experience. I said that in reference to Marquez Brownlee saying exactly the same thing about
Mm.
OnePlus phones.
I don't think this is a quote unquote flagship or
No,
I think this is OnePlus graduating to full on flagship. And I really hope we see some of the concessions, some of the takeaways that we don't see in this in the 7T, but I highly doubt it.
right.
I don't think we're going to see wireless charging on the 7T.
I
I
think they've
think
decided that they're going to die on the hill of no wireless charging.
okay. So let's talk about wireless charging specifically. I don't know. I don't know about you. I don't know about everybody else. But for me, I don't. I like wireless charging because it's convenient, which is exactly what it's supposed to be in its current form right now. Okay. If you're dependent on wireless charging, you're not doing cell phone properly. Do you know what I mean? As a user,
I don't
I
know if I
understand
agree
this.
with that.
I understand that some people out there have done, a month or two, whatever, with using wireless charging and everything like that. But the fact of the matter is that if you can plug in, that's the best way and the fastest way to charge your device. But it's really convenient when I can be out and about or upstairs or in a different room or my other office or whatever, and I can just put down my phone and get a little bit of juice, or while I'm watching a movie or something like that, without having to hunt around for a cord and plug it in. It's because it's convenient.
See. I hate plugging my phone in. I absolutely fucking hate it
Mhm.
because it's just cumbersome,
The
right?
fast wireless charging on the Galaxy S10 is quick, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I don't
I,
use it.
yeah.
I don't use it. I don't think I ever even got the wireless or the charging brick out of the box
Hmm.
because all of these phones are all day phones, right? So if you have an all day phone and you need wireless, you need to charge it at the end of the day, then drop it on the wireless charger. Don't bother like sticking something in and have it tethered to a cord that's going to get pulled off the table or whatever.
Hmm.
That's wireless charging is just easy that way. And for anybody who says that it's not part of a flagship phone experience, has not been paying attention because every flagship phone, every flagship phone offers now and has offered for at least 2 generations wireless charging as a standard.
Hmm. Yep. Yep. I agree.
So if you're not, if you're living in a fantasy land, if you're justifying the OnePlus not having wireless charging by claiming that it's not a standard, it's a cost-cutting measure by OnePlus. However, if I'm only saving $100, then like I said in the video, like save up a little bit more money and buy a real flagship. I'm not saying it's a bad phone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything about the phone is nice. The build quality is better than the 6T was, which was better than the 5T. The screen is very cool and it looks great. It just doesn't feel like a fully formed flagship experience type phone to me.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's why I
And
said that it feels like they're graduating too. But like I said, I agree with you
yeah,
that the concessions they made and everything. This is not flagship. Maybe this is flagship for OnePlus in that demographic. Fine. Um, but why? I mean, like I can look past the IP rating thing because I don't go swimming with my phone. I'm not stupid like that. I know. Do you know what I mean for myself personally? And I think most people don't. I have confidence in this if it got splashed by water or something like
right.
that. Okay. So I can look past the whole IP rating thing. And I agree with OnePlus when they say, well, whether you had an IP rating or not, water damage is not covered. And that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can look past that. I can look past the headphone jack thing. Why can I? Because I have an adapter, because I have wireless headphones.
Right.
Okay. And I think the audience for this, the OnePlus audience, more or less does as well. Okay. But the wireless charging thing, last year I could look past it in a flagship device or majority devices if you didn't have it. This
Right.
year, it's something I want to have for that convenience. So, for example, when we're doing this podcast, normally when I sat down with this podcast with you every Tuesday, my Galaxy S10 would be around 25, 30, maybe 15%, depending on the day.
Right.
And I would just put it on my Nomad charger here. Plug, by the way, it's a great charger.
Yeah.
the hub. And by the time we're done, in 2 or 3 hours, depending on how long, this would be around 80, 86%. Then I can spend the rest of my evening watching videos and this, that, right? That's
Right.
convenient. Now with this,
Instead of not having it charged and then watching your videos while tethered to a 3-foot cord.
yeah, now with this, I have to plug in, yeah, we're nitpicking here. Yeah, now I have
It,
to plug in a well, right? Or I
but
have
it's
to
not.
find,
It's to me. It's not nitpicking.
yeah,
It's not nitpicking. I mean, people are saying in the chat that like they can care less about wireless charging. I mean, that's great for
mm-hmm,
you, but you're not the only person that phones are made for. You know, wireless charging has become a standard on every flagship phone.
mm-hmm,
And if you just willfully don't want to acknowledge that it is,
mm-hmm,
then you're trying to make excuses for
yep.
something that is objectively true. That they have left out something that is a standard feature on flagship phones.
And I agree with you. So what I'm saying, to kind of summarize what I was saying there with those three concessions there, at $699, $700. That's what the Nebula. This is USD. $600. Sorry, $699, $700 for the 256 GB, 8 GB RAM. Which, by the way, OnePlus, if you're watching or listening, you guys should have come up with a 128 because 256 is, even for myself as a high end user, it's almost like too much. But anyway, at 8 GB of RAM, 256 GB of storage, and Nebula Blue at $699, $700. I think this is, given the concessions, I think this is perfectly balanced. But I do agree you can probably get a device that's even less, or maybe even $100 more, and get all those things.
See, here's where it gets complicated. This is the first year that OnePlus's world has become complicated like this.
Mm-hmm.
In years past, OnePlus was basically the flagship killer, sitting in that mid-range price point, offering most of what a flagship phone might offer.
Yeah, the draw to OnePlus has always been almost everything, but at a great price. Basically,
Yeah,
the OnePlus
it's
is
like the Nexus phone.
the nexus of
Yeah,
this generation. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
But the problem is this year and last year. Well, first last year, Apple released the iPhone 10R,
Mm-hmm.
right? And talk about the screen all you want. It's not. That's yes, the iPhone 10R subjectively has a worse screen than the One Plus. But if you if you're looking at it, the screen is fine. So
Mm-hmm. Yep,
749 to start.
that's a
And
dinar.
and then
Yeah.
Samsung just came out with the S10e, which is going to cost less than this OnePlus phone right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that all day long, the S10e is a better buy than this.
I would agree with you because headphone jack, actual IP rating, it still has that wide camera on there. It doesn't have the telephoto, but I mean, it's still going to take awesome photos.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
mean, I'd buy that all day. I'd recommend that to people all day long.
Plus, it's a flat screen.
Yeah.
That I like.
Yeah. I mean, and again, it's not that I don't like the OnePlus phone. It's just that the other players in the market have now like sort of come down to their level with really compelling products, and OnePlus doesn't fit where it used to. And so they either need to stay at $500 to $600, or they need to pony up and play with the big boys. Yeah, I mean, I don't care about the IP rating. I agree that we've seen that the phone can withstand water. Some people really like to take their phone in the shower with them, though, and listen to music or listen to a podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so you can't say that their experience using their phone is not valid because OnePlus doesn't want to buy the IP rating.
I almost think it was a mistake of OnePlus not to release their quote unquote regular regular 7 in North America. Like, you can import it. It'll cost you more than this, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, the regular 7 was basically a spec bump of the 6T.
Right.
Still had the water drop. This is still a great phone, the 6T. Everybody listening, if you're watching, if you like OnePlus, but you don't want to pay that 7 Pro price, get yourself a 6T, and I promise you will be happy.
Yeah, I mean,
I promise you.
It's got Snapdragon 845.
Yep.
It's got a really nice screen on it. Like,
it comes with the dongle. It's got the teardrop notch. It comes in some beautiful colors. I got the purple here. It's got the dual camera. It's not a triple camera setup, but there's nothing wrong with this.
No.
At all. So
no, I mean, and people say all the time, well, the best value in smartphones is like last year's model.
2019 is the best year to buy a 2018 phone, because if you really put things side by side, if you're a spec junkie, it's been a very gradual upwards plateau, but it's not like we're seeing leaps. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
right. Yeah, I mean,
233 souls in here. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome, people. Thank you for.
And we see the chat, guys. We know some of you guys are really passionate about this stuff. We see the chat. And we're kind of doing our conversation based on what we're seeing here. So please don't feel like we're ignoring you guys. We will take questions here and there.
So Lothar asks why everyone is oblivious to the OnePlus 7. The OnePlus 7 is not available in North America at all.
I can't even bring it up on the website unless I change my location.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why we're talking only about the Pro. I mean, that's all that we have available to us.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, it doesn't offer the same value proposition as the OnePlus phones have in the past. So
this was a real. So if you put the 7, the regular OnePlus 7, side by side with the 6T, it's a minor spec bump. This was obviously a jump up for them. And like I said, and you and I are in this, I'm using different words. You and I are using different words, but saying the same thing.
Right.
This is their graduation into being flagship, or what you and I what we need to see from a flagship. Okay. Now, do I think we're going to see it in the 7T? No, I think we'll see it in the 8. I think the 7T will see a refinement of this. Have you noticed how heavy this is?
Yeah,
like almost to the point where it almost hurts your wrists after a couple hours.
I mean, I don't know if I would go that far. I mean, if it hurts your wrist to hold a phone, then you need to go to the gym and work out your wrists.
But I've just noticed it holding my right hand. I'm like, that's like
it's a solid heavy phone. I mean, that's one of the things that I really like about it is it's a really solid, nice looking phone, nice feeling phone. You know, feels good in the hand, ladies. You know the procedures. but the thing is, and a lot of people were like coming at me in the comments of the video because I was knocking on the UI. and they're like, well, you can get icon packs and you can change the fonts and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm approaching this as somebody who pulls this thing out of the box and uses it as they intended me to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And my experience is this UI kind of looks a little janky, two-dimensional, and not very pleasing to the eye. That is a totally subjective point of view.
Mm-hmm.
However, that doesn't make it invalid as something to discuss when discussing the pluses and minuses of a phone.
Okay, let me answer this. The refresh rate. Okay. I put a tweet out about this on the weekend. The 90 hertz refresh rate. It's nice, but I think it's unnecessary. In fact, I almost feel like the 90 hertz refresh rate is kind of like smoke and mirrors to make it seem like something
Right.
it's not.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
No, I think that the 90 hertz, I mean, it looks great. It feels great. You know, it feels buttery smooth and all those things that all the tech YouTubers say, which make me want to puke. But
It's good in the hand.
you know, but it's not a selling point.
Yeah.
It's not a make or break feature.
That's what I said in my tweet. I said if you're going to pick up the OnePlus 7 Pro because it has a 90 hertz, if that's your defining, that's why I gotta have it, because 90 hertz. No. There are much better reasons to get it, but that should be, in my opinion, should be like top, below your top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could make the argument that having wireless charging or having an IP rating or, any of the other things that have been sort of compromised about the phone, you could make the argument that you could you could give up 90 hertz and stay at 60 and give people something that's standard on a phone.
Have you done a day with and a day without the 90 hertz?
No. And in fact, like, I'm not using this really as like my daily phone because I'm not a T-Mobile customer.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really have I don't have a number that I use attached to it. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm basically using it as like a secondary phone, and I'll pick it up and fool with it and watch videos and all that kind of stuff when I'm sitting around, but it's not my main phone. I mean, I have a phone number on here, but I'm not going to give it out because the likelihood of me keeping the phone is small. So
I found a difference. So I did a day with the 90 hertz and I did a day back to 60. And I found almost a 15% difference in terms of where I was at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon with how much battery power. So obviously it's 60 hertz.
Mm-hmm.
So unlike the Razer phone, which again uses an LCD screen, or other devices that use 120 or 90 or whatever refresh rates, this does not. For example, with the Razer phone, it throttles down when your screen is still, like say if you're reading something, and then as soon as you touch, it goes back up to the 120. Or anyway, I can't remember the exact terminology, but
no, it has some sort of smart feature.
Yeah, it'd be nice if OnePlus would implement that. And from what I've read, they're looking at doing that. But I left it at 60.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, OnePlus, I don't know how many times I've heard, and it's never about anything that's a big deal, but it all adds up in the end. Like, something that another company implements and gets right at the start, OnePlus is like, yeah, we're working on it. And maybe it comes a few months down the line, but that to me is like you're to a certain extent, you're selling an unfinished device. And a lot of companies are guilty of that. But I just don't think that it makes any sense to put OnePlus on a pedestal,
Mm-hmm.
And not judge OnePlus in the same way that you would judge other phones that are in the same general price range.
Would you still consider them with the 7 Pro in that mid-tier market? Just trying to be flagship or somewhere in between that?
No, I mean, the S10e and the 10R are both, I mean, they're not budget phones in the sense that they're still $700 something to get started.
Mm-hmm.
But it's Samsung and Apple not like coming down and not really sacrificing all that much in terms of their flagship features to make a phone at a price point that is more reachable by more people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had so many comments on my video, like, a flagship phone costs $1,000, and so this is not even a compare. It's like, a flagship phone doesn't only cost $1,000.
It's only they're only there because we allowed it to get there as consumers. But
Well,
that's a whole different conversation.
I would say that the starting point for a flagship phone is, maybe $750, $800, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, because you get, how much is a regular S10? Or a regular S10 is what, like $899?
I'd have to. I need to bring up the Samsung website and then change it over to US. So let's make sure we're talking the same numbers here. Where do I change my country? Because the default's a Canadian for me.
So Mark C609 says the only phone that's going to excite me now is really the Galaxy Fold done right. Well, Mark, I wish in one hand and put something else in the other and see which one fills up first. That phone's not coming out.
You don't think it's going to come out?
No. The same as I've said all along, that version of that phone, Galaxy Fold 1.0, we're never going to see it again. That's and I'm sticking to it. There were all those rumors that we were going to get dates and they were going to tell us when it's coming. It's not coming. Not coming.
All right. So I'm trying to.
Somebody put in here $899 base. Frank Crua did it, and somebody else.
Yeah.
So we're looking at $899 for an S10, and that's, that to me is where like flagship starts.
So if I pick Galaxy S10 white 128 on 8. So you said $899?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably,
yes. Yeah.
Actually, I'd probably say that 800 is where flagship starts.
$899. So what flagship's 800 then?
Well, I don't think there are very many at that price point right now.
Mm-hmm.
But in recent years, you could get a Galaxy S device for $799, for $850, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole point that I'm making is that the OnePlus 7 Pro is not it's not as good a bargain as it was. And so therefore, I don't think you should let it skate as much, on what it offers and what it doesn't, because it's just, at a certain point, it's just fetishism on the part of the people who like these phones. There's no actual backup for what they're saying about the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Miguel, what hole am I digging? I mean, this is called Painfully Honest Tech. Am I not being painfully honest? Anyone?
It just seems like it seems like if we had this conversation 2 months ago, and the Galaxy S10 was still $1,000 or $1,100, whatever the price drop has been, the conversation would be a little bit different. So it's just interesting when I kind of think back, even to like last year. There's no absolutes, but we've allowed as consumers to say, okay, yeah, $1,000 is normal for a flagship. It shouldn't be.
No, I don't think it is. I think that, anywhere above $800,
mm-hmm.
And unfortunately the price creep is real.
Mm.
And so that's all I can say, is that I don't think the OnePlus is as good a deal as it used to be. And so for me, I think it's important to judge it based on where it wants to be going, based on what it's moving toward, because it's no longer what it was.
Yeah, it's kind of in that middle ground where it's moving.
Right.
Well, the price jump from last year to this year is significant. A lot of people have complained about that, especially a lot of hardcore OnePlus fans.
Right.
But then you kind of see the excuses, like you said, like the fanboys of, oh, it has the best screen based on and the DxO mark.
Yeah. It's like whatever gets you through the night, brother.
Whatever
But
justification you have to get to open up your wallet. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I
Well,
got it because like I said, I'm a OnePlus fan. I wanted to compare it to the 6T. I've always done, and I'm not going to be returning this at all. I am enjoying it. I know that you said you don't like the software.
yeah.
I've always described Oxygen OS, and even when it was under the name, how do you pronounce this? Cyanogen?
Cyanogen. Cyanogen.
Yeah, I always described it as stock on steroids.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like. It's not. There's no bloat. It's simple, but I can change the colors. I can change the font if I want to.
Yeah.
Do you know
Of course you can.
Yeah.
Of course you can. But again, like the power user, the person who knows a lot about smartphones, the person who would sit here for 2 hours and listen to us talk about smartphones, knows all this. But the people who OnePlus need to buy this phone,
the general public,
don't do that.
Yeah.
They want to sell this phone to the general public. They're not just fulfilling people's like phone fantasies, by releasing a new phone every 6 months so that everybody can like jizz all over it.
I think if OnePlus wanted to sell their 7 series to the general public, they should have released the OnePlus 7
Right.
along with this in North America at T-Mobile. You know what? You know what I mean? Like you'd have the Pro for their tech savvy / OnePlus audience.
Right.
And then you'd have the 7 for someone who's just looking for a cheap Android that almost has everything, but it's not going to break their bank on a 2-year tab, or the heck, whatever you guys call it down in the United States, there, the contracts, whatever, or even buying it outright.
Right.
They can pick it up for $550.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, like some people were saying that in my video, I was comparing the OnePlus 7 Pro to the Pixel 3a. I was like sort of looking at features, particularly the phone or the camera. I'm sorry, particularly the camera, and saying for considerably less money, you can get a perfectly serviceable phone that makes a lot of the same compromises that the OnePlus phone makes, but it'll have a better camera.
Yeah.
And
so
it'll have
Pixel
3
3a, for
years
example,
guaranteed upgrades.
Pixel 3a. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I had a friend or if anybody came to me and says, Zach, I need a phone that just a phone, but with a killer camera, I'm going to be like Pixel 3a.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
Without a doubt. Yep.
Somebody asked earlier in the chat, and we didn't get a chance to answer. Should I get a 2XL or should I get a Pixel 3a XL? And I would say 3a XL all day, because the Pixel 2 still, like, it wasn't a perfect device.
Yeah.
And for even now, the price that you would have to pay for it, I don't know that it makes that much sense.
My 2XL had mad burn-in along with the keys there.
Right.
When I went to go sell it to a guy, he's like, "What's this?" And I'm like, "That's what that does." I still sold it to him though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where, and okay, so Tech for Your Needs asked, what's wrong with liking a phone? There's absolutely nothing wrong with liking a phone.
Nope.
But to me, there is something a little dangerous in not being able to hear criticism of the phone that you love, and like being completely unreasonable. And that's basically what happens almost every time that I release a video about a phone.
Yeah, people keep on but you get these hardcore brand loyalists or whatever that come in and they ask you for your opinion, and they've already decided in the back of their head, and they get upset when you or I say these things. We've seen it tonight in the chat, right? Then why are you even asking? Why are you even here?
Yeah, well, no, they want to come and get the dopamine hit of confirmation. Confirmation where they know that somebody else is saying that they made a good choice. And I mean, YouTube is full of channels that will give you that.
And it's
They
not
will,
just on the tech side; it's different niches as
yeah,
well.
no, I
There's
mean,
tons. Yeah.
you know, the reason there's a reason that I decided to call
Jeff said it right.
brand loyalty is childish. You're right, but I get it. I mean, we've talked with Roberto about the concept of primal branding in the past.
Mm-hmm.
You build a mythology around your products, and that's part of what keeps people more than just a customer.
Well, that's how Apple markets a lot of their products.
Right.
Right.
So I mean, I get where brand loyalty comes from, but I refuse to accept the fact that brand loyalty means that you have to be a giant dickwad every time somebody says something you don't like about the thing that you like.
Yeah. Like I like Samsung. I have a Samsung fridge, got a Samsung freezer, got a Samsung Blu-ray player, got a Samsung, two Samsung TVs in the house. I've got 3 Samsung phones in this room alone, but I'm not about to buy their damn speaker. The Cauldron. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. So that's an example. You can be loyal to a brand.
Yeah.
And trust her. Like if I went out and bought a new fridge tomorrow, would I buy a Samsung or an Acme fridge? Someone I've never heard of, without actually looking deep into it, I would buy the Samsung because I have that trust there because I've had that product before. So I understand where people come with that. But
a lot of people's brand loyalty comes from things that are outside of the control of, the brand or their customer base as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember buying some Samsung products, consumer electronic products, and having like some weird, not so great experiences with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think twice about, do I want to buy, like I had a pretty expensive Samsung TV before I got the OLED, and it just wasn't a great experience.
Let me tell you about my OnePlus experience. I think I've told this story on the podcast before, and I know I've told you this. So I had the OnePlus One. The OnePlus One came out about a month before my daughter was born. Okay, my daughter's 4.5 years old now. Okay, and a week after she was born, so I was in the delivery room. I took pictures of not of the delivery, but shortly after she was born, and I texted out some pictures. I put some stuff on my private social media, this and that. And then one day we're at home. This is like 2 days after we got home. I look down and my OnePlus One is sitting there and it's boot looping. It's boot looping out of nowhere. Okay. I had never set up Dropbox or Google Photos or anything like that. Bottom line is this: a week later, and after going to 3 different data recovery places, I could not get back the 4.3 gigabytes of photos that were on there.
Right.
Included in the first week of my daughter.
Right.
Except for the photos that I had texted out or sent to my friends and family.
Right.
So
you got to put them on Facebook.
Well, there were some here, and the best ones, obviously, but not everything. So I went back to I actually went to the OnePlus forums. I wrote up about this. I had a bunch of people try to help me and this and that. And they're talking all this stuff about, oh, you should have set up twerp and back up this and that. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
I didn't understand what that was. Right.
Don't tell me what I should do.
So
I after the fact.
Yeah, exactly. So I wrote off OnePlus after that. I was so upset. To this day, my wife is still very upset about that whole experience. But it is partially on me because I didn't set up cloud backup. Okay. Right. So I wrote off OnePlus. I wrote them off when they came out with the 2 and the 3 and the 3T, and then the 5 came out, and I'm like, okay, I'll give you guys another shot. I'll give you guys another shot. So, I like I said, I've always been a OnePlus fan, even after that happened. Although, like I said, I will take partial responsibility for it. I'm impressed where they've come from, but like we said at kind of the top of the hour here with the whole 7 Pro, it's not flagship, but just feels like they're graduating.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, let's put it this way: they're rising juniors.
Yep.
They're not quite seniors. They're kind of going into the later years of high school, where they're really going to get it figured out and then go to college in a year or two, right?
Matt says, dude, just have another kid. Take pics, back them up. Yeah, Matt, I'll get right on that.
Yeah. I think well, it depends on who you are and how much you need children to to fill the void in your soul.
You know what? Lately, we've been when my wife and I are out and about, and the kids are with my grandparents or with the grandparents. I've seen people. Do you remember the stage of when your kids were like, you could hold them like a football, and they wouldn't
Yeah.
say anything? I miss that stage.
Oh yeah.
As a father, you could just sit there or just fall asleep on the couch with them on their chest, make sure they don't fall off. Obviously, mine did a couple times, but anyway. But I miss I miss that stage,
Yeah.
the football stage.
See, I think, well, my experience, my daughter was very colicky and not a very good sleeper,
Hmm.
and so for the first 18 plus months of her life, it was total misery. Um, but from 3 to like, well, I'm not going to say that 15 is bad, but it's just not the same.
Yeah.
You know, it was like each new phase was kind of cool,
Mm.
and I enjoyed seeing it and being a part of it. But but yeah,
My daughter's 4 years old now, and
yeah,
she started like standing like this with her hand on the hip when she's giving a sass, and I'm like, is this a preview for like the teens? Because I this is not supposed to happen yet.
yeah, yeah. It's and here's the thing. I got to watch this a little bit, and I'm a writer. I watch people. I really sort of dig into what people are doing, how they're doing it, maybe why they're doing it. And I had a bunch of I had a, so a lot of the kids that were in Vaughn's classes over the years, as the girls reached a certain developmental point, like let's say it's 5 or 6 or 8, like there's all these little like spots,
Mm-hmm.
and I could see some girls taking on those more like normalized expected kind of behaviors, you know um and and I think it has a lot to do with maybe you have cousins, maybe you have kids that you play with in your neighborhood, maybe you've watched other kids grow up in your neighborhood, whatever, but you've had
Mm-hmm.
a model
Yeah.
that you're emulating.
Mm-hmm.
And basically my daughter is very much like to her own self and doing her own thing, and she was not she didn't get catty, she didn't get weird, she didn't get all prissy about things. She just missed all those things.
Yeah.
And then this year she went straight to like, now I'm in high school. I'm like, geez, that one is the all of those years where everything was just kind of cool, and it's like now it's getting scary.
Mm-hmm.
High school is scary, people.
Yeah. My daughter's starting kindergarten next year, September. In
Yeah,
fact, my daughter and my wife were at the orientation. So she's excited because her brother, my son, will be in grade 3 next year.
right,
So see each other in the hallways.
right.
So that's
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah. No, I mean that stuff is awesome, and I can't wait to see who my daughter becomes between now and when she graduates from high school. I mean,
You're a good father. You know that. So
well, I
but for those of you that don't know, that are listening or watching, Jason has been a foster parent
yeah.
in the past, correct?
Well, foster adoptive parent. We adopted our son when he was 13.
Yeah.
He's 18 now. He lives someplace else. It's a long story, and
Yeah.
it's been very traumatic in many ways.
Oh,
So
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring that up.
no,
Get you upset.
but yes, we've tried to do what we can. I was adopted, and I always
Yeah.
wanted to be, if I was ever in a position to try and give a home to a child who needed it, then I wanted to do that. Just
That's
as
good. That's good motivation.
um, so it's like it is what it is.
Yeah.
You never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Danny, thanks. Yeah, uh, adoption gives you all kinds of like you're preloaded with all kinds of weird psychological things. You've got imposter syndrome. You've got
Congratulations,
you,
Marcus.
yeah, you've got insecurities. Like, uh, it's weird, but at the same time, like I was having a Twitter conversation with Roberto earlier today, and it got to this point where like there's what you tell people and what you maybe tell yourself at a certain point about who you are and what is driving you.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are those moments when you realize that you've just been kind of telling yourself a story and holding yourself back. And I kind of had one of those moments today where, yeah, I just realized that like I deserve to be where I am. I've worked hard to get there. And like I've always measured myself against, not against like my peers, the people who are like close in a group with me, but like when it came to music, I was comparing myself to the Beatles and Bob Dylan, like from the start. That was my litmus test. And then, you know, when I'm doing YouTube, like I'm not really thinking about anybody because I know I can't be Marquez Brownlee. I know I can't be any of those guys because they came into YouTube at a different time and they did a different thing. But I know that there's a future for me that's just going to keep growing and growing unless I totally screw it up. But even so, but I I measure myself not about like where I want to be in 6 months so much as like where I want to be when I can stop doing what I'm doing now and do something different.
Or better yet, you could look at where were you in sub count a year ago from today? 40, 50?
Maybe
Yeah.
like 30 or 40.
Yeah, look where you are now.
Like when I went to VidCon last year, I was somewhere in the 40 range.
Yeah.
And you know, now I'm at nearly at 158 or something thousand.
Yeah.
It's
you're killing it,
as they say.
as they say.
But you know, I still look at my numbers and think like, you know, what's wrong? Because I feel like that's just the nature of people. They want to, you know, things normalize. Like, oh, I didn't get 300 subs today. Like,
Yeah.
you know, so what's
Are you
wrong?
sure? Are you sure that's not them and that's not and that's you more or less?
It's me for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, you know, because if I could objectively step back and look at what my channel has done over the past year to 18 months,
Mm-hmm.
like I was nowhere at the beginning of 2017. Beginning of 2017, I had like 2,500 subscribers. And the great thing about YouTube is that I never really worried about it. I just did it because it was fun. It was interesting. But the thing that's
Good Travis in the chat.
Oh, Travis
Travis
MCP.
Travis says you always want more. I just came out of a dip that was really sucky, but if I think about a year ago, it would have been a great time.
But see, here's the thing, like Travis, for me, not being, you know, I'm not watching your numbers every day like I'm watching mine. I see you doing really great stuff that's like growing your channel all the time. So, you know, it's all in how things are perceived.
You know who has really hit the ground running really well? I just love watching this stuff. Tech Rant.
Yeah.
I think he's done amazing.
Yeah.
Hat off to you, sir. See, now you know why I'm wearing a hat.
No, I mean, I look at Tech Rant and I see like somebody who has found his voice. You know, it's not all the way there yet, but he's got his feet sunk into the ground and is really like got some traction now.
Yep.
So, you know, I there's lots of really good stuff happening for a lot of people on YouTube. But the person that is in the middle of it can never see it objectively.
I think so. Going back to how you yourself have been looking at where you came from, where you're going, and everything like that. I mean, and we both know this. The nature of YouTube, the nature of YouTube and how they're always changing things and whatnot. I don't think you can always consider yourself to always be on a constant high.
Right.
You have to get used to the roller coaster.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean,
there's days where I, like myself as a viewer, I don't want to watch another tech video. So I'll go watch, I'll go watch something else. I may not even go.
You'll go watch dash cams.
Dude, I love watching dash cam videos. Anything North America.
Yeah.
Dash cam videos. Yeah, totally. Especially the road rage ones. I'm just like, I'm never driving in Houston. Never.
Oh man, I'm more prone to road rage now than I ever have been in my life.
I got angry at an old lady that passed me the other day on the freeway. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, why am I getting angry at this? But I got angry. See, she was riding my bumper forever, and then she went around. And I'm like,
I haven't lived in New York City for probably like. Okay, that was big thunder.
Holy shit! Was that thunder?
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, like I haven't lived in New York City for 15 plus years.
Yeah.
But I still have a driving mentality like I had to have in New York to be able to survive.
Yeah.
And out here, people just, they kind of putt around and they're just like, they're getting where they're going.
Oh.
And, if I see a champagne colored car, some kind of big ass sedan, probably a Buick, then I know the next like 10 minutes of my driving are going to be absolutely like scream fest worthy.
Serious question. BMW drivers, do you guys just naturally drive like assholes, or is there a course you take when you buy that car?
Yeah. Well, right? I mean, I was a Saab driver. Okay. For a long time. I had 3 or 4 Saabs.
You had a Saab? Wow.
Yeah. And there is something about, well, it's kind of the same thing as having an electric car.
Okay.
Because like a turbocharged little car like that just wants to go. And it's really hard to say like, no, we're going to stay back here. If I push the pedal forward like 1 inch or half an inch, we're going to go much faster than everybody else. But no, we're going to stay back here. It's really hard to do that.
Really, I'm sorry if there's any BMWs in the chat. You guys know it's just a general.
Well, I mean, I have the same problem with people who drive Pontiac Grand Ams.
Yeah, Pontiac Grand Ams.
People who drive Pontiac Grand Ams think at all times that they are on the NASCAR circuit.
I have a Pontiac Grand Am.
Well, I mean,
I can actually, yeah.
So it's like, if I see a Pontiac Grand Am driving around in a parking lot, I'm like, I have to keep an eye on that car because it's going to come around somewhere in this parking lot. Like they just took the last big left turn going toward the finish line.
It's like they're possessed, like in Maximum Overdrive. Do you ever see Maximum Overdrive?
Oh man, years ago when it came out.
Yeah. Emilio Estevez, and then there's a bunch of other people.
That was a Stephen King story.
It was, yeah.
Yep.
Good movie. You know what I watched 2 nights ago? No. Still scares me. The Dark Crystal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Apparently there's a prequel series coming out on Netflix. But I watched the original. And I still sat there going, yeah, I remember when that scared me. Yeah, I'm a little bit scared.
if you have puppets that aren't brightly colored and making silly voices, then they're straight up creepy.
I mean, the whole this is that right there. Just I'm out.
Yeah,
I don't know why. That just always. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? That I can't remember the character's name, but yeah.
It's very disturbing.
Yeah.
So we've gone off on our tangent.
Because we're wrapping up.
Yeah, but
by the way,
we haven't talked about the new MacBook Pros yet.
Oh yeah, so
because that happened between last week and this week. Although it seems like forever.
Well, you have one.
I do.
It's also doubling as a space heater. So tell us about it, Jason.
Yeah, it's like
MacBook Pros, hotter than the sun.
Like at certain times, if I touch the space, like the metal space between the screen and the keyboard or the touch bar, I guess,
Yep.
it's like actually painful if I keep my finger there at times.
Do you think you could actually cook an egg on it?
I don't know about that, but like,
Okay.
we're talking like it's got to be at least, you know, probably 90 degrees Celsius,
That's crazy.
and which is normal. I mean, if you're running a desktop with a powerful processor and a powerful, GPU in there,
Mm-hmm.
then it's going to get up to 80, and around 90 is when it's going to start to like pull itself back
Mm-hmm.
unless you tell it not to.
Dave 2D did a wonderful video. We talked about this before we started tonight. About this, right? Because he's the one that originally put them inside the freezer and everything. Remember that?
Right.
Yeah. Um, I'm gonna ask the same question. Like, I'm not an engineer or anything like that, but we know how thin the MacBook Pro is. Why wouldn't they just make them a little bit thicker, like just like a millimeters, to help with that cooling?
It's vanity.
Yeah.
It's vanity, and I think at this point they're so deep in the product cycle, and Dave 2D actually made this point.
Mhm.
Like, they're deep in the product cycle for this design of the iPad or the MacBook Pro.
Mhm.
Um, so this is where, or at least in the past couple of iterations, is where they're actually making their profit.
Mhm.
In the first year and a half, they were probably just, selling off the sunk cost, or getting rid of the sunk cost of building everything and putting together everything that they needed to do in order to manufacture that. So it's like, if you give yourself a 4-year cycle in the last 2 years, that's where you make your money. So, retooling machines and everything else. This thunder's going crazy.
I was gonna say I just heard it and then heard it now.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, it's like that's where you start making your money. So if you make any kind of change to the design, then you retool all your machines, and you have to go back, and it's like a brand new process, even if you only want to add a few millimeters to the chassis, I would imagine.
You got to change the whole manufacturing.
Right.
Like, everything has to change on that line. Yep.
So ever since they finished the 2016 MacBook Pro and it came out, they've been planning the 2020 MacBook Pro.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave pointed this out, but if you go back and you look, the MacBooks have always run on like a 4-year cycle. So every 4 years, you get a new iteration.
So next year will be completely redesigned, you think?
Yeah.
Including, hopefully, like, I don't know what the deal is with the keyboard yet on this 4th generation.
I'll tell you what,
But
I mean, my experience so far is that the keyboard feels better.
okay.
It's not as clacky and loose.
Has there been a teardown yet to see if they'll still have the same issues? I don't recall seeing an article yet on that.
iFixit did do sort of a teardown. What they did was they took all the pieces from the new mechanism, and so what they've done is they changed the rubber gasket was actually a part of the whole key mechanism.
Okay.
They changed the material that they made that out of. So they went from a polymer to more of a nylon. And then they either coated or treated the metal dome, that is what activates the key, with
Okay.
something different.
So do we know if it's still going to have the same key sticking issues, I guess, or whatnot?
Well, I
I
think
guess
that
we don't know until people actually start reporting on it, right?
right. I
Yeah.
think that people finally came to the understanding that, like, other than like the first couple of iterations of the butterfly keyboard, where dirt definitely did play a
Oh.
factor.
Wait. Dave 2D's video, he did point out that the new 2019, these ones are already on the list.
Yeah.
From Apple, saying so they already know there could be issues.
Well,
I just
see,
answered.
I don't
Yeah.
look at it that way, though. I mean, people are like using this as some, stick to beat Apple with.
Well, I think they're probably just being proactive.
I mean, if you have had a situation where maybe consumer confidence in your product has been eroded
Mm-hmm.
because of some difficulties,
Mm-hmm.
then you are giving them a 4-year guarantee that they will take care of that keyboard no matter what happens.
Yeah.
And maybe nothing happens, maybe it does, but they're putting themselves out there saying for 4 years from the day that you buy and register this thing, we'll take care of whatever keyboard problem you have.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's putting your money where your mouth is. They should have done more sooner, but I
Yeah.
think what they've done at this point, offering every model that has the butterfly keys is now in that program.
Yeah. And Tim R pointed out exactly what I just went full circle because I couldn't remember. Obviously, they're being proactive. All butterfly keyboards from all generations are now covered, not just the first two. So if you actually go, if I could find the link, but I know you can find it on their support website, they do list all of them. Now, do you think with a 2020 MacBook Pro, redesign, blah, 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 we'll probably see a different keyboard. Do you think they're going to do more than just the USB-C and still try to keep it
No,
just as thin?
no, I don't think so.
Do you think they're going to add imports?
No.
No? So you think it's going to be just the USB-C?
I think the way that this USB-C thing has developed, most people who want to use their MacBook at a desktop, or they need to connect peripherals on the go, they get one dongle that has multiple ports.
Yep.
So you could argue that
there's your classic right there.
Yeah. You could argue that the MacBook Pros only need really 2 USB-C ports. But I don't think they'll do that.
Yeah.
But because most people don't own Thunderbolt 3 devices. Maybe, well, even if you got a hard drive that's Thunderbolt 3, like that's a professional level hard drive. So the majority of people are just using it as USB-C, right?
My father has whatever model it was before they went all USB-C. So he still has like
that's 2015.
Yeah. So he went the other day to the Apple store to see, because I was showing him mine. I'm like, Dad, like they all have just this. No, they have more than that. I'm like, Dad, that's all USB-C, right? I'm like, you're gonna have to get one of these because he has a traditional USB-A, like a stick like this that he goes from this laptop to that laptop because he's old school like that. And man, was he upset when he got home. I'm like, you're gonna have to get one of these, Dad. I showed him. Where is it? So this is a USB-C to USB-A female, right?
Yeah.
I use this when I record my audio straight into the MacBook.
So Joran here in the chat says USB-C is barely adopted even by most phones. Why are they trying so hard to push people toward it? The reason that it's not necessarily USB-C, it's Thunderbolt 3 that is really the important aspect. I mean, you're talking massive speeds that can carry all kinds of data across the wire, right? So you can use Thunderbolt 3 for you can use USB-C 3.1 for a monitor, or you could use it for an external hard drive, or you could use it for graphics, like what do they call it? Why am I blanking here?
An EGP,
the eGPUs,
yeah. So and to expand on that, like I'm using a 2017 I'm using a 2017 MacBook Pro here, and I have a USB-C cable going to this 35-inch ultra wide. Then the other USB-C plug-in is power. So the MacBook's closed, and then I have 2 more ports here, one going from the cam link to this camera, and I still have one free to plug in that, or if I want to plug this in after. So the fact that you said like the Thunderbolt
3,
Thunderbolt is crazy what you can do with just a single.
Right. Yeah, I mean, when I have my MacBook set up as like, as a potential desktop as well, I have a CalDigit Thunderbolt 3 dock that has DisplayPort. It has, I think, 4 or 5 USB-A, one USB-C, two Thunderbolt 3. It has DisplayPort. It has, and it's just this little box like this big.
Yeah.
And all I have to do to charge the laptop, to connect to all the peripherals that I have at the desk, is to plug in one cable. That's it.
Yep.
And then I'm plugged into everything that I need.
Yep. This this monitor, this 35-inch, I have a webcam here that goes in USB-A into one of the ports in the back here.
Mm-hmm.
I can plug other things all into this monitor and then just go one single USB-C out of the monitor into the laptop.
Right.
That's powerful. Once you realize that you can do stuff like that, yeah, it's annoying. You will probably have to buy 1 or 2 dongles, depending on, like you said, how much is up. But I've minimalized that down to, like I said, I have one dongle basically that has the Yeti,
right,
and I have to have direct power in. I mean, it's powerful, but the transition is obviously annoying.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, if you bought a MacBook Pro after the 2016 redesign, yes, it was annoying that they took away all the ports.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they were a little hasty in 2016 to have done so. But now, at least for me, in how I see it, like, Thunderbolt 3 has become a standard, and the ubiquity of the port plus the power that you can get from it is so much more than you could ever get from a USB-C port.
Yeah,
Or
I agree with
USB port.
I agree with what Tech Rant is saying here, because there are Windows laptops out there that are slightly, like, millimeters thicker than the MacBook, that do have USB-A, that do have SD slots and everything like that. So I agree with that. Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Okay, like, and I know people are gonna accuse me of, like, making excuses for Apple, but when you're at your dad's next time,
Okay.
take a look at his 2015 with all those ports.
Okay.
And then take a look at your 2017 with just those 4 little ports.
Mm-hmm.
If Apple's all about the aesthetic, the minimalism, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I mean, the 2015 MacBook Pro looks like a mouthful of, like, broken teeth compared to what the MacBook Pro looks like right now. It's so much cleaner.
Yeah.
It's so much more symmetrical, and it's just, they had the ability to do it.
Yeah.
And they definitely saw the potential for what Thunderbolt 3 will become, or has become, and so they went for it. I mean, but yeah, at this point, I don't have anything that I can't use with a MacBook.
Yeah.
Because I've either got that hub or that dock, or I've got SSD hard drives that are USB-C that I just I plug in if I'm on the road, and that's what I work off of.
And it just works.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'll that's one of the nicest things ever since I got rid of my Asus ZenBook Pro last year, which I really love that laptop. But in going full-time Mac, even though I use Chrome, I've never touched Sierra on here. I've never even opened it. But that's the one thing. I know that whenever I buy a peripheral or something like that, or download an app or program, whatever, everything just, there's no more drivers and reset that, just everything, as soon as I plug it in, it just works.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have let it, I've been an open book, for better or worse, about what I feel I should be getting out of a computer, what I feel I should be getting out of Apple, and the gap in between. And I tried really hard.
Mm-hmm.
I went for 7 or 8 weeks using only.
Well, you had the Razer.
I had the Razer.
Yeah.
And then I had Surface Book 2. And then I had an MSI GS65, a new one that had a 99 or 9750H in it.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Do you have a video coming about your transition to Windows and then going back, and why?
yeah, I just have to prepare myself for the punishment.
The I told you so in the chats. I'm just gonna put in there, I'm just here for the comments.
Yeah. The thing is, like, and you were party to with me in a lot of these moments where I was
yeah.
using my desktop computer or I was using one of those laptops and I was trying to do something with the audio gear or
Yeah.
with the video, and it would just something would be wrong.
Yeah. Last
There-
week is a perfect example. You have this $180 interface and it didn't work.
No, $500 interface.
$500 compared to the $60 one.
Yeah.
And you damn near bit my head off. I'm like, all right, man, I'm just here for the podcast, right?
It's like so what happened was I had this universal audio Aero interface. It's a $600 interface. It's a great interface. It's amazing. For some reason, when Zach came into the Google Hangout, he's like,
it's my fault now.
No, because it sounded fine. It sounded fine on my end. It just sounded like it was supposed to.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, man, you're really scratchy and echoey. And I'm like, what the?
Oh yeah, he was angry, people.
And there's no reason that it should be happening.
Yeah.
The only thing that it could be is that the drivers of that device somehow are not playing well with something deep inside of the system that I could spend 3 or 4 days trying to find.
Mm-hmm.
And or I could just say fuck it and go get another MacBook Pro.
And it worked, right? You said, right?
Immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. I mean,
see, like, and I talked about this last year when I got my MacBook. In the past, I would have no problem sitting down and Googling and trying to fix stuff on my PC or my laptop, my Windows laptop. But I'm just at the point now where, like, time is money, and I have other things I need to do and other things to take care of. I don't have I just want it to work. Maybe that just comes with age. Fine, call me old, whatever. No, but I just want it to work. Yeah.
I think the value of your time, especially when you're trying to do something like YouTube where your stuff has to work.
Yeah.
Because if you spend even a half an hour trying to figure out why your computer won't do the thing that it's just supposed to be doing, then that's time that you don't get to spend.
We see it on Twitter all the time in our community where people are like, sorry, buddy, no video today because I can't get my camera to work or this and that, right?
Doing something funky, yeah.
Yeah, I just need to be able, and we see it all the time. People ask all the time, I'm first time YouTuber, what should I use beside my phone? And people usually recommend like a Canon or something like that because it's kind of like dummy proof. No offense against Canon users. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. So because time is money, and you say you commit 2 or 3 hours a night to doing YouTube, you need to get as much is done as possible, right? And the same example could be given to, say, someone that has a part-time thing doing photography. They only have X amount of hours at night or whatever. They just need things to work.
Right. Yeah. And so Joran points out that he's definitely had to look stuff up for Mac. I mean, I'm not saying that I've never had an issue.
Oh, I've had issues too. Yeah.
And Scott says he's never had a problem with Windows. I mean, it all depends. You're an experiment with an N of 1. Like, okay, you haven't had a problem with it, but that problems occur are pretty well known.
Mm-hmm.
And especially for somebody like me, who a lot of my workflow is centered around audio and video, if I can't rely on my setup to just do that, then I'm working from a disadvantage all the time.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I've had many problems with Macs and had to stop and figure things out, but I've also used Macs for like 30 years. And I've gone through, all of the permutations of the operating system since like OS 8.
Mm-hmm.
and learned all the little things that might go wrong. And had that knowledge then as a foundation for what I needed to know otherwise. So there is a familiarity aspect to the fact that, you know, if something goes wrong with a Mac, I'm pretty sure that I know how to start to fix it. So,
Yeah.
so it's you know, most of the time though, for the things that I need for the computer to perform without any difficulty.
So, given the thermal issues that you're having, although it doesn't sound like it's really stopped you from getting things done, are you going to keep this MacBook, even though it's getting hotter than the sun?
That's the thing. I don't know. I mean, I'm still watching a lot of people's benchmark videos and stuff
Mhm.
because people are still like, the benchmarks are coming out. It's not thermal throttling.
Yeah.
It's in fact, like for the one that has for the I think it's for the one that I have, the one that has the 2.3 gigahertz i9.
Yeah, you
Um,
got the top of the line with the 512.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the top of the line that you can buy off the shelf.
Yeah.
Um, People are showing that it's not thermal throttling. In fact, it's like staying at a straight 3.0 through like heavy workloads, and and it's performing incredibly well. You know, like I just did a benchmark. I just did a Geekbench on the MacBook today, and I got a single core score of over 5,000, like 5,100 something.
It's over 9,000.
I got it,
No?
and I got a multi-core score of nearly 25,000.
Wow.
And like I was still had programs open and stuff too. So however much that might affect the score, but you know, the iMac Pro only scores a little bit better
Yeah.
than that.
Hmm.
You know, so but that's the thing. Like, do I want to entrust my entire workflow to a mobile device?
Well, I have for a year. Granted, I'm not as busy as you are, but this is my only computer.
Right. I know there are plenty of people who do it.
Yeah.
You know, who run their YouTube channels off of a laptop, MacBook Pro, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's this iMac Pro is just dialed in.
Yeah.
You know, I've been using it now for like 9 months or whatever, 6-9 months, whatever it's been, and it's just dialed in. So it's hard for me to let go.
I
It's
feel
hard.
another breakup video coming.
Well, the thing is, I cannot, especially at the point where I'm leaving, where I'm leaving the security of my day job.
Yeah.
I can't justify having like $8,000 worth of computer, right?
Yep.
I mean, so I've got this iMac Pro here that retails for $499, and I've got a $2,800 MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
I can't justify keeping both. If I can't justify keeping both, and there's even the possibility that I might have to do work on the go, then if I keep the iMac Pro and get rid of the MacBook, then whatever mobile stuff that I need to do either has to happen on my iPad or my iPhone or
What
something
did
else.
what did you use for on the go for the couple of videos you did at Vid Summit last year? Just your cell phone, right?
Yeah, my iPhone
Yeah.
10s, the 10s Max.
So what's wrong with that?
Nothing. I mean, but it wasn't conducive to like, I'm gonna really cover this event and make a bunch of content out for
Yeah.
it. You know, it just it wasn't like it. The workflow wasn't fluid enough to allow me to sort of like be able to do all that stuff quick on the go.
Yeah.
Um, LumaFusion is a great editor, and it's really easy to use. for basic, especially for like basic edits. It's super fast, but like, I don't know. There's just something about being able to use the programs that you use. You know, like I can't use Logic with a iMac or with a Mac with a iPad.
Well, it sounds like to me that you're not sold on the current MacBook Pro that you have right now, the 2019. It sounds like to me that you should send that back until at least maybe another month to see what potentially Apple fixes in terms of, you know, throttling this and that and everything like that, and more feedback from other people that do laptops more often. I'm not saying you don't know. I'm not saying you don't know, but like, for example, like I expect another couple more updates from Dave 2D or Matthew Monas, for example.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, I can either take it back or I could just use up all 45 days of my return policy.
Okay, well, if that's yeah, because I know in Canada here it's 14 days, but is it 45?
Yeah, at Best Buy, if you're Elite Plus.
Okay, so you got it from Best Buy.
Yeah, if you're Elite Plus, which means that you've spent over $3,000 at Best Buy in the previous calendar year, and I always.
But what they let you? Best Buy.
Yeah, well, I can do it until that little flag comes up and it makes me sign a thing and says, I've been a bad boy. But at this point, if I were to take the MacBook Pro back, I think I'm really looking to gain about $2,500 in the bank, either by selling the iMac Pro or returning the laptop.
Yeah.
And so either way, I'm going to get that $2,500 into the bank.
Okay. Well, if you have that, then give her. And by the way, your daughter's just giving her tonight.
Yeah, I know.
We can hear.
My mic is like super sensitive tonight. I don't know what the hell happened.
It's all good. Hey, so I'm going to go through the topics here again.
Yeah, my daughter is singing.
Sure. It's all good. We talked about the new iPods, your OnePlus 7 Pro review. By the way, everybody, Jason will have an iPods video coming out. We didn't really talk about the iOS leaks or anything like that. We basically touched on it. I'm glad to see dark mode coming.
Yeah, a lot of people are disappointed, I guess, but
I don't understand what they're disappointed about. But
it's still early days. Like I don't want to complain about iOS until I see a beta that sucks.
Yeah, I'm not I don't use my iPhone a lot, so yeah, dark mode, all the things like we talked about, right?
Yeah.
We talked a bit about Huawei. We won't talk more about that. Let's wind things down here, Jason.
Yeah.
We always do this. Now Geonosis had asked about this on Twitter. He wanted to hear from you a little of the hell for review, specifically from your OnePlus. But let's give it another week. Do you want to give it another week, or do you want to dive into it?
Let me just take a quick look at what it looks like.
Okay, so we're gonna do hell for review, but specific to Jason's OnePlus 7 Pro review.
Yeah,
because even the ones that made it through are pretty interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, we can just. This isn't this isn't about the OnePlus video, but here's the first one.
Okay, so for parental guidance, if you got little ones,
maybe there are small ones out there, and you don't want them to hear bad words,
you can get colorful here.
Yeah.
Go.
So this is about my Galaxy S10 Pixel 3a XL, comparison. You fucking moron! What a clickbait, you fucking asshole. Okay.
Did they spell clickbait properly?
They did.
Oh wow, okay.
But they didn't create real sentences. It's like, you fucking moron, ellipsis points. Then a space. Then what a clickbait, you fucking asshole. No period. I mean, that's like two separate thoughts right there.
Yeah. Is this going to ruin your night if we go through these? I don't want to ruin your night.
Not enough verbs. Not enough verbs in that. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, here's another one. This is on the OnePlus video. Fuck you, Jason. Lol. You're wrong for this. Check them dislikes though. Uh, thumbs up. Something else. Praying emoji.
Oh yeah, I saw the ratio. Oops, likes to dislikes on your video. I was like, damn, I haven't seen that kind of ratio on one of your videos for a while.
Yeah, well, my leaving Mac after 30 years, my leaving Apple after 30 years video was pretty bad too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
let's
So
see.
you have 1,000 from what I can see, 1,000 likes to 750 dislikes.
Yeah.
On your OnePlus Pro
Yeah,
7
I
Pro.
think the ratio is at like 60%.
Oh, it's crazy.
I mean, that's what I'm doing here.
Yeah. No.
That's what I'm doing here.
Okay.
Okay. Here's another one
All right.
from Tyree McGrone. He says, "This video is fucking useless, just filled with opinions that don't matter." Okay. So thank you, Tyree. Um,
There you go, Richard. Look at that chat right now. Richard Wrangle Olivia. That was a crap story.
Sorry, I don't understand.
What? Used to be more entertaining. Now you're just complaints.
see, that's so much bullshit. That's so much bullshit.
I love it when people say they're going to unsubscribe because I guarantee you they're not.
Because, well, here's the thing. Like, you think most likely what's happening is I'm not saying a thing you like.
Hey, Easy Computer Solutions.
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm not saying a thing that you want me to say. And so therefore it's complaining. Whereas if I said the same thing about another product that you agreed with me about it on, you would still say that I'm entertaining.
Yeah, be like, oh, best video ever.
Yeah.
All right,
So,
let's continue.
Brooke McKay, this is on my Huawei video. Brooke McKay says, "Support the USA or get the fuck out." Okay. Oh, here's another one. Okay. CBR 1000RR says, and I haven't read these ahead of time, so I don't know what this is long, so it could go way off the rails.
Okay.
You lost a subscriber, ellipsis points. You should be saying positive things about the OnePlus 7 Pro since it's a lot cheaper than the iPhone, than THEN, not THAN. The iPhone and Samsung's flagships. No, period. It has stuff that flagship phones don't have for less.
What stuff?
I guess I'll continue to read on.
Sorry.
You're YOUR a fucking hypocrite when you talk about phones for a good price. P.S. Meaning you praise the iPhone XR, which has less over this phone. You're a joke, and your subscribers will eventually wake up and see that.
That whole is that a whole run-on sentence?
No, there were a couple of periods in there, and also, yeah, there were some ellipsis points, and there was I see 2 periods.
I feel like someone slapped my brain.
Yeah,
Just you hearing that. Jason, what does the iPhone, or sorry, what does the OnePlus 7 Pro possibly have that other flagships don't? If by a motorized camera, I guess I'll give you that.
yeah, and it has a 90 hertz refresh rate on the screen.
That kills your battery. Okay, I'll give you that.
I mean, you can make these arguments any way that you want to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You could say that praising the iPhone XR and not praising the OnePlus 7 Pro is hypocritical. But I'm looking at those things in their own, perspective silos.
Exactly. Yeah.
An iPhone XR, when coupled with the other things in the iPhone ecosystem, is the cheapest iPhone that's current, like a brand new iPhone.
To answer Bird's question in the chat, I found in my use case, again, it's different for everybody else, about a 15% difference the day I did 90 hertz. In other words, 15% more battery was consumed compared to the day before when I had 60 hertz. Okay, but
Yeah.
everybody's a really different. I mean, I watch a ton of video on my OnePlus 7 Pro, and I do a lot of social media stuff, a lot of reading and stuff like that.
So I didn't take this to work with me today, and so it's been sitting in my studio here.
Okay.
And I charged it late in the afternoon yesterday.
Okay.
And it's now sitting at 41%.
Is that at 90 hertz?
Yeah.
And that's just sitting there.
Yeah.
It should not have gone down that much.
No. I mean, Android used to be really bad about standby time, but in recent years it hasn't been.
Your S10 Pro would do a quarter of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know.
Let's do a couple more comments.
Okay.
And then I think we'll wrap things up with some movie and or TV show suggestions.
Sounds good.
Based on recent. Is that fair? Do you want to keep on going?
No. That's perfect.
I'm just doing the host thing here, okay?
Yeah, I appreciate it. No, I mean, leave them wanting more.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, give me some other people in the chat that I can yell at. Say something that'll piss me off, and I'll yell at you.
Stop it! You're gaslighting.
Okay, so here's one from Clifton Ward. He says, "You're YOUR clearly a moron and a Samsung fanboy, not a great phone ? Definitely misspelled a dumbass. No period." Okay, Clifton. I think that we can probably figure out who in this exchange is actually a moron.
You're a maroon. I like those ones for the 00. Maroon.
Okay, let me find another one. I got it. Okay. Sniper Agar says, "I personally think now this is all all in initial caps. Every word is capitalized."
Cool. That means they're serious.
Yeah. "I personally think your review was very biased. Period. You just skipped the facts." Okay. And then Clifton Ward comes back and comments on our sniper's comment. He says, "He's," I assume it's he's because there's no apostrophe, so it's either he's or Hess, "a bootleg Flossie Carter, comma, fuck this channel."
A bootleg Flossie Carter?
Yeah, I mean,
what is a bootleg Flossie Carter?
I made the joke, the feels good in the hand joke.
Oh, okay.
And people were like, "Oh man, you can't steal from Flossie." I'm like, are you serious?
Can we be very clear?
Are you serious?
Oh man.
Man.
You got another one?
Okay, let me there's one more here.
Okay.
Okay, there's two more.
Okay.
Okay. "Brother, I believe we're going to have to agree to disagree on this one." No, this is not a bad one. This is somebody saying something reasonable, so I'm not going to complain. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to go on to Chuck Richardson, who says, "Vanity insanity is what it is. Fuck the selfie camera. ... Remove it completely. ... No under the glass. ... No flip. ... No pop up. ... It's a phone. No dots. Want a nice photo? ? Get a fucking DSLR and stop being lazy. One more thing to carry around. ... Oh, boo-hoo." Thank you for that, Chuck. It wasn't directed at me.
One thing I'll admit though, you'll notice like about the pop-up camera, people are like, oh, I'm worried about reliability. Da, da, da. How many selfies are you taking?
Well,
Do you know
it's
what I
not.
mean?
I mean, it's really not about the number of selfies that you take. It's just it introduces a potential failure point where
Yeah.
one doesn't exist on other phones.
Yeah, because moving parts, I get that.
Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah.
it might be perfectly fine, just like the iPad or the MacBook Pro keyboard might be perfectly fine right now too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just saying.
All right, let's. I'm gonna give you a second to figure this out. I recommend. Okay, so we're gonna wrap things up. First of all, we appreciate everybody being here tonight. Everybody in the chat.
Hold on.
Oh, we got another one.
There's
Let's go one more. Now we've gone. Now, okay.
I mean,
Go.
there's lots more.
Okay.
I just like refreshed the page, and got more. Uh, so bullshit on this video. Why don't you talk about the price, huh? Question mark. Go get a fucking job. And this is an awful review. Seriously. How you discounting the 90 hertz display with Razer's 120 hertz? It's a shitty LCD display, while OnePlus 7 Pro's OLED panel got a perfect score from DisplayMate. Also, there are $1,000 phones that are giving you 60 hertz. Discounting 90 hertz on a $700 phone is just foolish. Also, this goes on and ends with the bias in this review was glaring. Just a bad review all around. Well, I
You
guess,
hurt that person's feelings. I hope you feel good, Jason.
I mean, how dare I not
There,
say that 90 hertz screen refresh rate isn't a gift from God?
there's your counter right there. Scott Woodford, who we've seen in the chat many times before. What is DisplayMate? Boom.
DisplayMate is one of those organizations that um, that rates the quality of displays.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what criteria they use. It's sort of like DxOMark for cameras.
So I've heard of DisplayMate only the last couple years, but mainly when it came to like written articles.
Right.
But the OnePlus 7 Pro is the first time I've seen it like during a presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like we've seen DxO talked about before in presentations, like with the Pixels like that.
Well, yeah, Google
Right.
was the first to bring.
They're the
up
ones that kind of made it mainstream, right? So,
right. I don't know that Apple or Samsung has ever themselves talked about DxOMark scores.
No, I don't recall presentations where they've ever said our DxO is. Apple definitely has not.
No.
Samsung, I don't believe they have ever in a presentation. All right, so that was.
But just to finish this thought, here's what I think about companies that feel like they have to tout their like their I guess not necessarily fake, but they're sort of their benchmarks.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
Well,
I
again,
don't want to offend people.
I think that goes back to OnePlus catering to their tech crowd, their tech audience.
But it's kind of like somebody telling you how smart they are. It's like, okay, if you were that smart, I would know it, and you wouldn't have to tell me. So it's you showing that you just perceive yourself to be in a weak position or to have like a disadvantage. And so you're using these numbers to fluff up your
It's like people that argue politics with you and they say, well, I have a bachelor of whatever political blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But you still don't understand how the everyday voter thinks, for example.
Well, I mean, you could probably have that conversation with 100 people in a day, whether or not they have a political science degree or not.
Mm-hmm.
And probably 90% of those people are not going to agree with you.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, but yeah, using benchmark scores to tell people how great the phone is is just window dressing.
Yeah. Like if I went to my dad tomorrow and said, "Hey, Dad, this phone has a DxO scar of 111 or whatever it is," be like, "What?"
Right.
He's gonna say to me, "Does it take good photos?" Well, here, take a look.
Yeah.
And that's what matters.
Yeah. And I
Right.
mean, as much as I don't like camera comparison videos,
I'm doing one. Sorry.
uh, I I see how they're about. I see I see the value in them. At
Yeah.
least you get to see. It's not a scientific test in any way, shape, or form, but at least you get to see the camera, what photo it takes of the same thing compared against other devices doing the same thing,
Yeah.
right?
I think I'm gonna do a vlogging thing with this. Like I really wanted to go out to the mountains last weekend, but we just couldn't, we're too busy. But I'm gonna do like a day of just using this
Right.
and showing Danny Wigton, for example, does really great videos like that. He did a couple with the Huawei phones and everything like that.
Yeah.
So it really gives you a really good idea of just everyday usage, right? So,
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing that nobody ever takes into account when they're talking about smartphone cameras.
mm,
Smartphone cameras are just like anything else that you use as a tool. It has as much, if not more, to do with your skill in using the tool than it does in like what the tool is.
yeah. A perfect example would be, we've talked about him before, Dave West,
Mhm.
Mr. West. He'll take these tier 2 devices, these Asus phones or whatever it is, like Moto Z4, whatever it is, and he'll use like the pro mode, and I swear the photos come out because he's good. He
Oh
knows what
yeah,
he's doing. Than
if
like
you
say
know
an
how to
iPhone.
if you
Yeah,
know how to set the exposure, you know how to set the ISO. You know, if you know those things,
yep,
then you can take any camera and make something look good.
yeah,
You know, if you see what you want to take a picture of,
yeah,
and you can then utilize the tool in order to make that happen, it doesn't matter if it's what the hell the DxO Mark score is.
yep, exactly, yep,
So, and there's an old saying that like uh, a great guitar player can make any guitar sound great because it doesn't come from the instrument.
Prince,
It comes from the player.
yeah,
Yeah. So I think the same thing holds true for cameras.
yeah,
You know, if you've built the skills, if you spent the time, if you know what you're doing, you can take a great picture with any of these things.
mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, maybe it's easier with the Pixel.
The Pixel definitely makes it very easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I'm going to take a family trip or something like that, I take the Pixel in my pocket because I'll take identical photos with that, and then I'm usually picking those out when I'm putting together albums and everything.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
Jason. So what do you say? It's been a good night. What do you
It
think?
has been a good night. Thank you everyone for being here, for hanging out, for doing the thing with us that we do on the Tuesday, the Painfully Honest Tech podcast. It's much appreciated. I hope I didn't make too many of you mad, but if I did, then it's working.
Love it. Awesome. Okay, so before we go,
Yes.
I'm gonna suggest to those of you that have not canceled your HBO yet,
Yes.
go and watch Chernobyl. It's a 5-part series.
You did that last week.
I know, but I'm gonna do it again. Who cares? Because part 4 last night was awesome. So part 4 came out last night. Part 5, the final part 5, comes out next Monday. So if you haven't canceled your HBO yet, please go watch Chernobyl. And then if you want to get even more into it, go and look up the actual footage or what the Chernobyl or Pripyat areas look like nowadays, and you'll get really. It's just,
Yeah.
I really hope they take this 5-part series and put it into some classrooms.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I watched a mini documentary on YouTube a couple of years ago about people who've gone back to
Yep.
Chernobyl
Yep.
to study the plant life and the animal life.
It's basically become a sanctuary for animals.
Yeah.
And as the
a lot of
buildings
those
crumble.
animals are
What's that?
super fucked up.
Yeah, no, it's eerie. Like there's a scene, for example, I think it's in part 1 or part 2, where the nurses are all taking the firefighters' clothing and gear because they
And
didn't
burn.
know when they were fighting the fire that these pieces of graphite next to them were going to kill
Yeah.
them. But there's a scene in the show where they take the firefighters' gear and they put it in the basement of the hospital. And then if you go on YouTube, you can find videos of people that have gone to that hospital, and the gear's right there. And it's so art, life. I mean, again, it's historical, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think for people in the West, you know, at the time and since, our understanding of like what happens in then the Soviet Union, now
you were
Russia.
14 or 15 when it happened, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it was 86, so I was
It is April 86. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so I was 15 and I remember it specifically, but I didn't have any sense of how truly dire the situation was. And that's what this miniseries brings across incredibly well.
Mm-hmm.
And it does it like without saying anything. It doesn't directly say, except for like one time, it doesn't directly say how bad this is.
Yeah.
Or what the possible, it doesn't lean on those things. It leans on the characters. And you watch the characters act out these incredible things that they had to do in order to basically save the world. It was user error.
Yeah. Well, so I follow the writer producer. I can't remember his name, but he put out a tweet last night saying, next week, part 5,
Right.
we will find out what the actual problem with a MK, I can't remember the actual name, type of reactor is and everything. Because even to this day, there's still some cloud. There's still a bit of a fog of what and everything like that. But what this show does really well is how the Soviet Union back then did not want this information to get out, and pages redacted here, and people were told to keep quiet. RBMK, yes, John, yes. Thank you. So next week we'll find out, and then it's again, it's one of those things I kind of wish I learned about in school, but I never did.
Right.
And yeah, so it's been fascinating. This past week's yesterday's episode, if you like dogs, could have been a little more shocking to you, but it's the realities of what happened.
Yeah, I mean, well, Genosis basically, I mean, this accident was so incredibly intense that the initial people who responded to the call didn't know that they were dealing with.
It's the first time it ever happened in the history of this planet.
And it wasn't necessarily like what happened wasn't necessarily supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Like people didn't think that physically it could happen. But basically, first couple of episodes, you just watch people melt.
Yeah. Apparently, there were scenes in last night's episode that they cut because they were that graphic. So do you remember the scene where the research from Mintz, she says she went and saw so and so and he didn't have a face?
Right.
There's scenes from that, but that they cut because it's that graphic.
Right.
The scene where the girl gives birth because she went and saw her husband, and she got exposed, and the baby basically absorbed all the radiation. They were supposed to show pictures or what that baby looked like. I'm telling you right now, everybody, do not Google those type of pictures. You can type in Chernobyl birth defects, for example, on Google, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Right.
It's frightening, man. It's frightening.
Yeah. That was a potential, like, seriously a potential like world-ending, humanity-destroying situation.
Well, if they didn't get that water pumped out from underneath the station, and that water had hit there, that would have been a thermal explosion.
Yeah,
that would have carried on to the other 3 reactors, which are still in use today. And yeah, covering all of Asia, and it's again, if you still have, or if you can get a free trial, go watch it. The final part 5 will be on next Monday. Yeah, we're giving away a lot, but I mean, I don't know if we can give spoilers on.
It's history. I don't know
on history, right? Honestly,
like, there's a happy ending in the end where they clean it all up and everybody's healthy.
Well. I really hope they go into that. I think they'll show the initial sarcophagus that was put on, But I really hope they go into the dome that was put in place 2 years ago. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So there was originally
Because
what they
that
called the elephant's foot, right?
yeah, that dome that's in place that they put in place a year and a half, 2 years ago is a feat of construction itself and how these different countries came together to make this. So I really hope they do talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What's
Well,
your
okay.
suggestion
Now that,
for
now that
something?
we've now that we've really given people something happy to go watch after they're done watching.
I just think it's important. It's an important piece of history.
Yeah, and it is a really well done uh, piece of television, cinema,
The
whatever.
music makes the show, though. Hey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's incredibly well done.
Yeah.
But yeah, what would I recommend? What have I been watching besides Chernobyl? Shetland it's a British television show, like
Okay.
murder mystery show, but like each season goes through one sort of case. It's
Okay.
based on Shetland Island, which is off the coast of Scotland. I'm not super familiar, but it's like a really insular kind of everybody knows everybody and has known everybody for hundreds of years kind of thing. And then they investigate these murders. So I don't know. It's super engaging to me.
Is it on Netflix?
The first couple of seasons were on Netflix. I don't know if they still are. I actually subscribed to this service through Amazon called BritBox, which is just a ton of British TV shows. So
I'll look it up.
David wants us to talk a little bit about the Note 10. I'll tell you this.
It's not out yet.
I think it's going to be the best phone that we see all year. However, I was reading some stuff about some stuff that might not be as good as we hoped it would be. So I don't know. I think the Note 10 is going to be like the shit this year.
The shit.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Okay.
I think the iPhone is going to be like the ugly stepchild. No offense to stepchildren, but the iPhone is looking really freaking ugly. I can't overstate that. Will I get one? Yes, because that's what I do for a living. However, will I be happy about it? I'm not sure. So it better take some insane pictures. It better take like pictures that look like the person is standing in front of you kind of pictures.
Yeah.
It's going to look that ugly.
Should be interesting.
Yep. But otherwise, folks, thank you so much for hanging out with us and chatting. A pleasure as always. And follow us on the social medias. You can find us. And if you feel like I've got a Patreon. I'm trying to push the Patreon because I'm about to lose my income.
Stop, don't phrase it like that.
Patreon.com/painfully honest tech. For as little as $1 a month, you can be a part of the Wizard Squad.
You got 19 patrons now. Last week you had 15.
Yeah.
It's growing.
It's grown by, I think it's tripled now from where it was when I started pushing it again.
I'm not even a Patreon. Let me tell you guys, I'm going to tell you guys something right now. Jason sends his scripts to me. What do you think of this? Actually, you haven't done it in a couple weeks now.
Yeah.
But you send them all to me all the time. Like, what is this? I'm like, this is brilliant. Can I use it? No. I'm about to record.
Yeah. I could put my scripts up so people could see like what I use to
that
get
would
where
be
I'm going.
I think people would really dig that. Not only like behind the scenes, like I said, I was telling about last week, but I think people would really dig that.
Yeah.
Right?
I've thought about doing a direct link from PayPal. You could do the Jason T. Lewis at gmail.com or painfullyhonesttech@gmail.com are both like one's the business and one's the personal. You use the painfully honest tech one if you really want to do that. Game mate feed repeat, that is totally fine. I completely respect anybody's choices about what they do with their money.
You're still going to get the same content from Jason. It's just a little more behind the scenes or how it's done or kind of Q&A with the Patreon, but you're still going to get the same content you see 3-4 times a week from Jason. Whether you do or not. There's no loss.
You won't get the nudes.
Damn.
Anyway, this is like the 4th time that we've tried to stop. And so we're going to do it.
It's like crack.
We're ending the podcast right now. Thank you for being here. Very much appreciated. We'll be back again next Tuesday. It's not too long before next Tuesday will be the first day. Oh, thank you. Game Mate Feed Report. See, look at that. Tuesday will be the first day that I am not full-time employed at my job. So there's that.
It's a big day.
Yeah. So hit the like button. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Thank you for the Canadian money, Genosis.
Hey.
I mean, it is Canadian money. Though.
I want to drive out and see Genosis. I'm going to drive out to the Okanagan this year and go see him.
Okay.
And buy me a bunch of beer.
Zach, thank you for the co-hosting.
Hey, always fun to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And I'll be back making videos that upset people for the rest of the week. So just stay tuned. Until the next time, my name is Jason. That's Zach over there. And we're out.